Welcome, welcome to the pre-show here of the Timber Sports World Championships individual version 2023. Think of this as the aperitif before the delicious main meal, you might say. We're going to check out the movers and shakers and have a little look at some of the main players today and kind of warm you up for the big action coming up. Speaking of big action, I am surrounded here by delicious Canadians myself. First of all, thank you very much, special guest, former Springboard world record holder, of course, and I've heard future world record holder as well, potentially. And all-round Canadian good egg, Sterling Hart. Thank you, mate, for spending some time with us today.
Thanks a lot for having me in studio. If I can't be out there on stage chopping wood, this is the next best place to be, isn't it?
Absolutely right. Yes. That's what they say. And, of course, I'm winged on the other side by the Canadian cooler himself. Some say that he has kings and queens in his line of descendancy, but who knows, because he's chopped his family tree down. It's the voice of Timber Sports himself, Troy Mannering. Thanks for having me, mate.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, it's good to be in the studio again, of course. It's going to be a bit cuddly here. It's a Matt sandwich, and we're expecting some good action here today for our STIHL Timbersports Individual World Championship. It's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely right, yeah, because you mentioned the word individual. We are going to look at individual athletes today, but yesterday it was all about the teams.
Oh, yes.
So we had a packed house here in the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart, Germany. 6,000 fanatical fans saw Australia take home the team championships. What we thought we'd do is have a quick run through and let these experts have a little bit of a talk about it. Let's have a look at some of the action from yesterday. Okay, so we're going to go straight to the semi-final level. That was the United States versus, well, wouldn't you know, it's Canada, Sterling. Do you remember this?
Absolutely. You know, we've come up against the States so many times in the past. We knew that we were going to have to cut the best race we had in us if we were going to get there. And, you know, we were dead even coming off that stock saw. We got Marcel Dupuis on the underhand for us, but Matthew Koger on the underhand for the States is one of the best underhand cutters in the world.
He's lightning, isn't he?
He is an absolute phenom on the underhand, and he showed exactly why he's one of the best. And this put us in a real hole here, but you know, Marcel drew a really tough block in this one, and that's just luck of the draw. But we had Ben Cumberland on the single going up against Mark Boquin, a new guy to the stage, but you see him power through there. And I knew catching up to Jason Lentz at this point was going to be a bit of a tall feat. So I actually shortcut my block a little bit, as in took less hits in the front and took a risk on the back to try and catch up to him.
Why
but he
would
was
you
just
want to do that?
Well, because if I cut my normal race, there was no way that I was going to be able to make up the hits. As you see there, though, it just wasn't enough for us to catch up to them. So that put the States into the finals and us into the small final, waiting to see who we would face between Australia and New Zealand.
Disappointment at that stage?
Disappointment at this stage, but we talked about it today, that as soon as we knew we had lost, you know, you are down on yourselves, but you're not done. It's time to go. And I said to the guys, let's go get a medal and get ready.
Well, talking about people going and getting medals, we saw Australia and New Zealand, two of the pre-tournament favourites, go up against each other in the other semi. This was a cracker, wasn't it, Troy?
Yeah, it was an absolutely fantastic race. And I mean, these are two countries that have, let's call it a love-hate relationship with each other when it comes to being on stage. I mean, they're both so fantastic. And in the team competition, both of these teams have had their title on that trophy over the last year. So you know that they definitely won it against each other. But Australia is just so well practiced. And that was a
key moment.
That was a key moment right there, because Jack had a little thread that was just holding on. And I wonder, maybe Sterling can speak to this a little bit with more expertise, but if he saw maybe there was a little thread there, something that was just holding on, that he wanted to be safe.
Absolutely, Jack Jordan also, but going against Braden Meyer, like undoubtedly the best underhand cutter in the world in this type of wood.
Yeah.
So Jack was putting it all out there because he knew he had to take down Australia. And that one hit that you saw him have to go back and fix, that's what it looks like in the end.
Yeah, the difference maker right there.
We haven't had the opportunity to talk to Jack about it, have we? But we were wondering whether maybe there wasn't a thread. He thought that there was and went back just to double check, and that was what led to the time penalty, because the next colleague wasn't sure. Either way, it led to the third place playoff between yourselves, Canada and New Zealand. Maybe talk us through what your thoughts were as you heard the whistle go here.
Absolutely. We knew going against these guys, if we were going to take down New Zealand, this was everything hanging out. We had to have perfect transitions. Everybody was able to go full tilt.
Right.
There was no holding back, and that's what I was just yelling at Marcel, just to hit it as hard and as fast as you possibly can.
I can see you there.
And he was like an angry bull on that block. There was snot coming out of his mouth, like the raw aggression. BC, we were just a few hits off the pace. But Ben Cumberland on the single saw was so solid for us all day long.
How much, if I can ask you then, how much as an athlete are you watching what's going on the other side of the stage or with your other athletes and stuff? How much are you able to compute and take in?
Well, quite a bit, because it would determine, normally I would put 8 hits in the front, but I put 6 here because I knew if I was going to catch Nathan McDonald, I was going to have to leave it all out on the deck, and I just hit that block with everything I had. And what you see between me and Marcel was just this raw emotion of...
That's genuine, isn't it? That's genuine passion.
We had left it all out on that stage. We gave it everything we had, and that's just pure joy on a bunch of grown men's faces.
But what a wonderful thing, because you often hear that people are disappointed they didn't make it to the final, and it's quote-unquote only 3rd place, but it didn't feel like that for you guys.
Well, they call it the consolation round for a reason, because even though you didn't win, it's a great difference between winning a bronze medal and losing a gold medal. Right? A silver is a very difficult one to swallow because you were just that close.
Interesting. So the feeling's almost greater to go up to a bronze than to fall down to a silver, something like that?
Well, you're finishing your season on a high note. You know, this is where everybody's worked to get to all year long, competed to make it onto this team. And you're going to see now the top 2 countries in the world this year going head-to-head in our gold medal final.
I was going to say, I remember you predicting before it started yesterday, Troy, that the United States and Australia were probably the 2 favourites in it, and wouldn't you know it, they met in the final again.
Well, it's a repeat of last year as well, and I mean, you know, I mentioned as well, sometimes teams need to learn how to lose before they can learn how to win. And I think that the USA has done enough, let's quote-unquote, lost events against the Australians. I believe next year that USA is going to come and they are going to make everybody pay, because they're just on the precipice of going that one step further to becoming the team world champions. And somebody has to take the Australasian teams off the board here, because it's been New Zealand and Australia the last 8 years.
But this was a key moment. You watch. I have never seen Mitchell Argent put 10 hits in the front of a standing block. Those blocks came out extremely hard, but where you see the difference in the Aussies taking this out was the presence of mind and the experience of Mitchell Argent to know that he had to put more hits in that for it to come off, where Jason Lentz, traditionally more of a softwood cutter, instead of like the hardwood that the Australians are used to cutting down under. So there it might have been the experience of Mitchell Argent that took the Australians through to the gold medal.
Fascinating insight. And so there we saw it. Handshakes and kisses all round. The Australians up there again. Are we seeing the start of, I don't know, some kind of unstoppable locomotive here? Can you see in future years any kind of team even scratching the surface on the Australians?
You know, I think it's safe to call Australia a bit of a dynasty at this point.
Yeah.
They've had this same young core going for so long now that when they show up, it's just business as usual for them. And that makes them extremely dangerous, but it also makes it dangerous for them, because complacency can set in when you think you've got it in the bag. And actually, we saw that in the qualifying, where the U.S. actually qualified first. By a bit of a margin over. So that actually, I think, motivated Australia and powered them towards the gold, was not being in that driver's seat from the qualifying.
Fascinating insights. Thank you, Sterling.
Here all week.
It's really interesting it's interesting per se to be surrounded by Canadians, but it's particularly interesting. You know, you were on the stage last night. You felt it, you heard it, you sweated it. A day later, how does it feel? Have you come down, or are you still, are the adrenaline levels still high? How do you feel?
Coming over to these World Championships, and I think every athlete can attest to this, it's such a vibrant environment being here. Most people, when they compete in North America, Australia, New Zealand, there's not a crowd of this magnitude and this size and, you know, that noise level. So when you come in here, that energy is just pumping all day. And one of the key things when we compete is not letting that energy consume you in the day leading up, because it will consume your energy. And so, you know, by the time we're here competing, you start to get pretty exhausted. And that lasts a while.
Thank you very much indeed for those insights. Fascinating stuff. We're going to go straight over to Florty, who is speaking to one of the world champions from yesterday. Florty, can you hear me, dear sir? And do you have some world champions with you?
Indeed, I can. And it's absolutely amazing, because I'm standing within world champions. They've written history. Not only have they won for the 4th time in a row, but for the 10th time, and no other nation has ever achieved anything like this. STIHL Timbersports Team World Champions Australia. Joining me for a small talk. Braden, we took a look at this wonderful trophy and I asked you a question. I said, which competitions did you take part in that are on this trophy?
Yes, I've been lucky enough to be a part of this winning trophy since 2014. And yeah, like Brad and Lawrence were a bit earlier than me, but yeah, I've been in it the last few times and it's a good feeling to have 4 in a row.
And all of these you've been a part of. So how does it feel to be back here at the STIHL Timbersports Team World Championships in Stuttgart, where it all started, the home of STIHL?
Yeah, it's a great feeling to come back to Stuttgart. It's the best venue to have it here, the best crowd, and Germany's a great country, so it's always good to come back here and to do it with such a great team, Australia, and the support we get from everyone, we really appreciate it.
So talking about a great team, I have to translate, of course, for everybody who speaks German. Also Braden ist sehr, sehr stolz, hier zu sein. Jedes einzelne Plakett von Australien, das hier drauf ist, ist ein Teil von ihm, denn er war tatsächlich bei jedem dieser Siege mit dabei. Und die 2 Herren neben mir sogar noch ein bisschen früher als er. Und wir haben einen Rookie dann auch noch mit dabei, also ein volles Paket. What we talked about yesterday is celebrating a win like this. Can we go into small details maybe, how that was yesterday?
Yeah, I only had 1 or 2 beers and then went home.
Okay, shall we leave it at that?
Yeah, yep.
So talking about team spirit, it always seems like you're in for a laugh, having a great time, but also bringing the youngsters along.
Yeah, it's good to bring the rookie along, to these sort of venues, and yeah, great experience for him. Probably something, he might never experience again, so it's great that he can get out and do that. But yeah, we had a really good win last night, that's our 8th championship, and I've been lucky enough to be a part of them. Yeah, Stuttgart here holds a very special place for me. This is where I won my first World Championship back in 2013, so hopefully we can repeat that again tonight with Jamie in the individual.
Also sagt auch für ihn ein ganz besonderer Platz, 8-mal gewonnen diesen Titel. Hier hat er seinen ersten Weltmeistertitel im Individual geholt, drückt natürlich seinem Kollegen, den Jamie, hält heute dann auch noch mal ganz fest die Daumen, dass es passiert. Und was auch ganz, ganz wichtig ist, einen Rookie mitzunehmen, dass der langsam wieder hineinwachsen kann, was natürlich eine schwere Ansage für alle anderen Teams ist. So if you guys are already starting to bring the youngsters along at the World Championship and winning it, that must be something very special for you as well.
Yeah, it definitely is to come across and get some training in with the boys. And to watch them win the team event last night was, yeah, bloody brilliant.
Und ich glaube, da spürt man auch schon den Spirit, wenn er von den anderen 3 als Boys spricht. Also die Jungs haben ihn wirklich sehr, sehr schön aufgenommen. Wir haben auch ein bisschen über das Feiern gesprochen, weil es gestern ein großes Thema war und wir haben gehört, dass es wurde ein Bier getrunken und das war's. Maybe that's going to be different tonight. Not only 1 beer tonight when the competition's over.
Yeah, we'll see how Jamie goes today. Hopefully he gets the win and yeah, we can have a big celebration for both of them tonight and really hit the town.
Also ich glaube, zu viele Details werden hier nicht preisgegeben, aber es könnte sein, falls ihr auch entsprechend Stimmung macht, dass man doch gemeinsam hier noch ein bisschen feiern wird, wenn das denn in eurem Interesse ist. So the guys would be happy to celebrate with you after tonight, if that's going to be happy. Die Stimmung hier im VIP-Club, sensationell. Alles, was ich dazu sagen kann, ist, wir gehen zurück ins Studio. Back to the studio, guys. Thanks so much for taking your time. And one more time, congratulations for writing history. Thank you so much. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Flordy. Great stuff. It's always...
Just 1 beer, huh?
I was going to say, it's always wonderful to hear the timber sports athletes say it as it is. And nice to see that they get something to eat and drink in the VIP club. That's good, isn't it? They get
taken care of up there.
Exactly, very important. So that was yesterday, a great day, but we want to start slowly moving towards the excitement and the action today. So let's start turning our attention to the individual championships. And what I'd like to do first is maybe take a look at the function of how that works, of who gets here, right? We've got some of the top athletes in the world here today. So let's take a look at a graphic that will begin to explain who got here and how. Right, so there is the so-called European ranking system. Maybe you could help us understand this a little bit, Troy.
Well, you can look at the European ranking system kind of like an individual competition between nations. You can see that each of the nations, so for instance, Danny Martin for Germany has underhand chop, standing stock saw, standing block chop, and then you can see single buck, springboard, and hot saw. That's lined up on the top right-hand side of the screen there. And each of those points is like the timing scores that you would get for your ratings as you go through the season, and they take the top 8 athletes.
Different ranking events throughout Europe.
Correct, yeah. So they throughout the season they take the best scores from each of these previous each of the athletes that you see here, and then they take the top 8 athletes. So you see Koen Martens number 2, Mika Dubitsky, Emil Hansen, Pierre Pouet-Barré, Redmer Knoll, Martin Roussel, and Cyril Papst representing Switzerland in that case. Those are the athletes that we'll see competing in the individual world championship here today. Unfortunately for Armin Kugler, Glenn Penlington, for Bjorn Sonsteby, and Alessandro Chiapponi, those guys were just outside the wire. And for our New Zealand, Australian, Canadian, and American friends, they all are basing their athletes being sent over because of how they performed in their national championships, correct?
Well, yeah, you mentioned that. So that's how the European system works. How does it work outside of Europe then?
Absolutely. Just like he said, we have a national championship in each country. So basically, a lot of countries will have even a qualifier to see who gets into that national championship, such as the U.S. does. In Canada, we also have a qualifier, actually, for West and East. So both sides compete at the qualifier. Then we take the top 12 through to our national championship. And then from there, the champion is crowned. They go over to take on the individual and represent Canada. And then from there, we also take the top 4 in each event. And that will determine who is on the team. And that is the same in each country, and that's how we choose in the other 4 countries overseas.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, so we get it whittled down to 12. They come from different countries. What we thought we'd do is take a look at some of the potential main players here today. We're going to start with Jamie Head from Australia. So here we can see a couple of details about him. I'm reliably informed that he likes to be known as Jim. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's just kind of how he's known. Everybody knows anybody that's met an Australian, they're going to shorten your name. So Jamie's no exception here. But he comes from a lineage of competitors. His father was a many-time champion as well in woodchopping. And so Jim's just following along in Dad's footsteps.
Good competitor?
Extremely. Any competitor that comes to represent Australia. You know, Jim's been in this series since it was still just a part of the U.S. series. He's been competing in the STIHL Timbersports for over 15 years. So it's finally his time, and I bet we see him try to make the most of it today.
Interesting.
Yep. And he's been part of that World Championship team 5 times as well. You probably saw that in the graphics. So, you know,
you've got to have something to get into that team,
as Sterling mentioned, he's got pedigree as far as the sport is concerned. So he brings a lot to the table here.
Absolutely. Another one who brings something to the table is the Belgian Koen Martens. We saw him recently at the Benelux Championships, Troy. There he is. He's a lot bigger than he looks in that little caption now. I've got to tell you, he's a big strapping lad. Talk us through the possibilities for Koen today.
I mean, Koen is always there. He's always in the mix. He's just missing that one little spark sometimes. But Sterling and I actually ran into him on the way over, and he did explicitly say to both of us, I've been training for all 6 events. So that might mean good things for Sterling because he's such an excellent competitor. I mean, it's just fantastic, the things that he does out there. And I don't know, maybe you see it a different way than I do, Sterling, but it's just a small thing that put him over the edge.
So let's look at the next. He was standing where you're standing this time last year. He did a little bit of commentary for us. Ben Cumberland, also up on stage yesterday. A couple of words about Ben.
Such a solid competitor. You know, he is extremely strong in all 6 events.
Wow.
And, you know, I don't have enough good things to say about him. We were in our training camp this past week, and, you know, we were all cutting our individual events, and Ben would go and do a little training on each event himself. Each time he'd come over and cut an underhand or a standing, me and Marcel would just look at each other like, why are we even here? I have never seen him in this kind of form before. It's he's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, it could be one to watch.
Absolutely. It definitely could be good.
Very, very interesting. Another one very possibly to watch, and we've certainly round the campus in the last couple of days heard his name quite a bit, and that is Jack Jordan, the 2-time World Trophy winner and still current World Trophy champion. That's a slightly different format, but it has 4 of the 6 events that we're going to see today. What do you think of Jack Jordan's chances today?
I'm going to throw a quarter in the pond and say Jack Jordan will be on the podium today. Where I'm not going to say because, yeah, I mean, you know, he's a fantastic competitor. He's a big boy. You've seen him in the team competition. He can do what he needs to do out there. Whether or not he brings the whole thing together, including the springboard and the hot saw, is going to be the big question here.
He is certainly a favourite in some people's eyes. Another potential, well, I don't know whether I'd say favourite, but possibly a dark horse might be Mikhail Dubitsky. He's been there and done it, got the T-shirt, I think it's fair to say, right?
Absolutely. You know, he's still fairly new in this sport, but the rate at which he's progressed, I remember going over to train these guys in Poland 4 or 5 years ago, and he was just getting started.
Right.
And you see his Instagram handle there as axe-machine, and that is very, very accurate. The pace at which he swings that axe and the force, he is undoubtedly a machine.
His social media team will be delighted that you plugged his Instagram there. They'll absolutely love that. All right, let's look at another potential favourite. That could be the American Jason Lentz. So you stood about 15 yards away from him yesterday and competed right alongside him.
And standing 15 yards away, I could still feel the earth shake when he hits that block.
He's a big boy.
He is built like a brick outhouse. He is a big man.
He's a big guy.
But he knows how to use that power. And you know, same thing, comes from lineage, and he is great at every event. And what makes him especially dangerous, he is one of the best hot saw runners in the world.
So it could be a quick finish. Okay, and last but not least, we wanted to take a quick look at one of the most charming gentlemen on the tour. Danny Martin. He's going to have 6,000 crazy Stuttgartians supporting him here today.
And speaking of hot saw, he is one of those very adept athletes when it comes to having for a short while hold the world record in hot saw. That's something that's been kind of up and down a lot lately, but if he cuts well, if he cuts consistent and clean today, he could also possibly be on the podium.
All right, we're going to take a short break here. You take a short break as well. Check out a couple of messages from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Steel dealers.
The last time that the STIHL Timbersports World Championship took place in Stuttgart is almost a decade ago, 2016. But the earth still trembles from the sounds of shattered wood. That was definitely one to remember. It's gonna be hard to fit into those giant footsteps. But trust me, just this once, we're about to take it to the next level. You do know what a home advantage is, right? So, Stuttgart is the home of STIHL. And the Porsche Arena will not rest until everyone, and I mean everyone, will be at the edge of their seats. So if I haven't been more than crystal, you shouldn't miss these.
Welcome to the STIHL Timbersports Individual World Championships 2023. Coming to you from the incredible sold-out Porsche Arena here in Stuttgart in downtown Germany. It's wonderful to have you with us. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Matt Beadle. I'm going to be your host for the next couple of mental hours that we are going to share together. And I say we because I am shadowed by a couple of wonderful experts today, starting with, of course, the very voice of Timbersports himself. Some say that they're working on a way to channel green energy from his motor mouth. He is the Canadian cooler. It's Troy Mannarin. Thanks for having you with us, mate.
The intros get weirder and weirder every time for Matt Beadle, and this time I think it was 6 welcomes. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic day today. We have the individual world championship ahead of us with 6 events planned, or 6 disciplines planned, where you're going to see absolute banana gong show action out there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You are in the right place, as is my other very special guest, and since about 22 hours, bronze medalist. Congratulations, Team World Championships yesterday. Sterling Hart, you're very welcome, mate.
Yeah, I mean, if I can't be out on stage, I can't think of anywhere better than to be back here with you guys, letting everybody in on what's actually going on behind the scenes.
That is the
and
plan.
Keeping us honest.
We're going to get a couple of insider tips. You know what? What we're going to do is we're going to see one of the most extraordinary records in Timbersports history, and it was set by the very gentleman here in this room just a couple of years back. Check this out.
3, 2, 1, go!
Walk us through this one, Sterling, because, I mean, this was an incredibly fast run you had here against Jason Wynyard, a legend in the sport.
Yeah, you know, I had spent a lot of time training for this specific event on that specific day. I had set it all up. I had run that race 1,000 times in my mind. I climbed those first 2 boards exactly how I wanted to. Once I got up there, I knew that I had the piece of wood up top where that record could be in reach. That record, of course, being held by a fellow Canadian, Mitch Hewitt, at the time. And right here, you see that last hit. I didn't know I had the record until I looked behind me.
You made a quick look there, didn't you?
But it all came together when it needed to.
It was a special day. The record, sadly for you, has been broken since. But you were telling me earlier, you think that record's not done.
No. And this summer it was actually broken by an American, Walt Page.
Yeah.
And now I've competed with Walt for quite a while. He lives out on the west coast of the U.S., so close to me. We compete against each other. And if I was going to lose that record to anybody, I don't mind it being somebody like Walt. He put in the time. He earned that record. It's all his for now. But, you know, records are made to be broken.
They are. And you know what? I was asked earlier by a member of staff here, do we think we're going to see any records today? We've got the best of the best here today. Let's be honest, 12 phenomenal athletes that have qualified through their local country systems. We're gonna have a new world champion at the end of the day, come what may, because Brad Delosa can't defend his title.
No, unfortunately, Brad Delosa is not going to be able to compete this year, but instead it's going to be Jamie Head representing Australia here today. But that being said, I mean, there are a bunch of athletes that are here, and you even mentioned earlier on, Sterling, that the wood is good. It's cutting very well, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this day follows suit.
Absolutely right. We're going to go straight over to the arena with our local German host, Sandy, and of course, Timbersports legend, Flotti. Flotti.
Und ich bin sehr, sehr stolz und sehr, sehr glücklich. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure. And the man next to me, he is from Stuttgart. Hier ist er zu Hause und vor 10 Jahren bei der STIHL Timbersports Weltmeisterschaft war er auch schon dabei. Es ist mir eine große Ehre, dass er heute ebenfalls hier das Mikrofon in die Hand nimmt. Ihr kennt ihn ganz sicher alle, wenn ihr aus Stuttgart seid. Ladies and Gentlemen, the one and only Alexander Franke, a.k.a. Sandy.
Wow, ist das eine Stimmung hier, meine Güte. Und ihr habt es ja schon gemerkt, wir moderieren natürlich heute zweisprachig. Zum einen, weil man uns in ganz Deutschland natürlich sieht und hört. Hallo, herzlich willkommen. Und zum anderen, weil wir in der ganzen Welt zu sehen sind. Wir sind sogar in Neuseeland. Ich finde das so krass, Flotti.
It's absolutely amazing. Hello New Zealand, hello Australia, hello Canada, and of course hello United States of America. We're having a ball, we're rocking it. This is Porsche Arena in Stuttgart, and of course it's not only Sandy and me, but we have an amazing DJ who came all the way from Gothenburg. So ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for the one and only DJ Peter Wikström. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane.
Wow.
But that's STIHL Timbersports.
Ja. Aber wir wären natürlich nichts ohne unseren DJ und ohne unsere tollen Kommentatoren, die durch die gesamte Show auch führen, das Ganze auch während der Wettkämpfe kommentieren werden. Herzlich willkommen in der Show. Schön, dass ihr dabei seid.
And now it is time. Surely starts the competition. Und Sandy, du weißt, es gibt ganz, ganz viele Menschen, die hier im Hintergrund mitarbeiten, dass STIHL Timbersports so gut funktioniert, wie es funktioniert. Und ich glaube, jetzt sollten wir langsam aber sicher an die Offiziellen denken.
Exactement. Du kannst uns sagen, wer hier verantwortlich ist von der Official Side.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, dear STIHL Timbersports fans, please welcome our global sports directors, starting with the one and only Mr. Spike Milton. He is accompanied by Mr. Nathan Waterfield. And of course, we also have judges here on stage. So make some noise for the man from Germany, Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger! Next to Jörg, the voice of our judges, please welcome Mr. Andrew Hall.
Was sind wir eigentlich für eine geile Sportart hier bei den STIHL Timbersports World Championships? Wenn man überlegt, dass sogar die Schiedsrichter einen so großen Applaus bekommen, haben sich verdient, aber wir haben natürlich auch noch einen Videobeweis. CCC nennt sich das Ganze, Competition Control Center, und wir grüßen ganz recht herzlich dort Dr. Rich Hallett, Jules Jansen, Radu Kasako und Bart Jansen. Da sieht man sie in unserem Videokeller. Tja, und dann kommen wir zum wichtigsten Part, oder?
Are you guys ready to meet the 12 athletes here at the STIHL Timbersports Individual World Championship?
Ein großer Applaus für unsere Athleten!
And we're gonna start with the man representing Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the one and only Jim Head! Ja, sie sind vielleicht noch ein wenig zu leise. So where are the fans? There he is, approaching the stage. Give it up for Jamie Head.
World Champion im Team und heute geht's im Einzel weiter. Wir freuen uns jetzt aus Belgien, Koen Martens.
Let's meet another favorite all the way from Canada. Put your hands together for Ben Cumberland.
From Czech Republic, Martin Rušal.
He loves the crowd, doesn't he? What a man. 150 Ks.
Ja, da sind die Fans aus Tschechien schon, sollen wir das nachher auch hören?
As we await the man from France, here is Pierre Pubaré.
Aus den Niederlanden, from the Netherlands, Redmer Knoll.
Representing New Zealand, make some noise for Mr. Jack Jordan!
Und wo sind die Fans aus Polen? Wer ist Polska? Michal Dubicki!
Switzerland in the house. Put your hands together for Cyril Pabst.
Die Kuhglocken, ich hab sie vermisst. From Sweden, Emil Hansson.
Representing the United States of America, here is Jason Lentz.
Elf haben wir zusammen. Einer fehlt noch, ne? Da fehlt doch, ein Land fehlt doch noch. Irgendwie, ich hab's
Es waren definitiv 12.
Es waren 12. Es waren 12.
Yes.
Ich sehe so viele Fahnen noch, irgendwie ein Land hatten wir, glaube ich, noch nicht. Wir können ja mal in einen Clip hineinschauen, wer da noch fehlen könnte. Schauen wir mal zusammen.
Das ist überragend von Danny Martin!
Wahnsinn!
Lässt er das Ding da fliegen?
alleine da zu stehen und Deutschland zu vertreten, das ist natürlich auch ein großer Druck. Ich bin, denke ich, sehr groß respektiert im Sechskampf. Die Jungs haben gesehen, was ich kann letztes Jahr auf der WM und ich werde daran arbeiten, dass es genauso wird. Das sind ja, die 12 Besten der Welt und da muss man natürlich auch jede Runde erstmal überstehen. Ich denke, wenn ich das abrufen kann, was ich kann, ohne irgendwie was übers Knie zu brechen, dann haben die großen Jungs Druck.
So wollen wir ihn sehen. So wollen wir Danny Martin sehen.
Hier ist für Deutschland Danny Martin! Wo seid ihr? Vollgas! Germany is in the house!
Very much looks like it.
Wow!
Things are starting to get hot in here.
Das sind sie also, unsere 12 Athleten, die 12 weltbesten Timbersportler sind heute hier. Wir freuen uns, dass wir einen tollen Abend verleben dürfen. Tja, wir wollen aber natürlich an dieser Stelle auch einem ganz, ganz besonderen Sportler gedenken. Vor ziemlich genau einem Monat ist Jason Wynyard leider Gottes verstorben. Er ist einer der großartigsten Timbersportler aller Zeiten gewesen. 9-mal hat er allein den Einzelwettbewerb gewonnen. Und ich würde sagen, wir schicken jetzt einen großen Applaus in den Himmel zu Jason.
An absolute legend has left us way too early. Yesterday we had some very touching moments with all the teams saying goodbye to Jason together here on stage. So thank you very much for your applause for Jason.
Floti hat es gesagt, wir haben in einem langen Film gestern Jason schon ausführlich geehrt und nochmal gedacht. Das ist das Wichtigste und ich glaube, der Film hätte noch ein paar Stunden gehen können, so viel wie er geleistet hat für unseren Sport. Aber jetzt kommen wir auch zu dem, was ihm immer das Liebste war und das ist eben der Sport gewesen, sein Timbersport und damit gehen wir jetzt erstmal zurück ins Studio.
Fantastic scenes there in the Porsche Arena. Wow, we can hear it vibrating through the walls here to the studio. Wonderful moments as well, of course, for Jason. You knew him well.
Yeah, I would say just about every competitor up there on that stage, I would say they all do know Jason quite well. Our sport would not be where it is today without a Jason Wynyard, and it's a great loss to our whole community.
Thank you very much. Beautiful words. Right, let's get down to business. Dear viewers, it's Timber Sports time. It's the World Championship time. This is the format of the competition.
The STIHL Timbersports individual competition. In the first round, all athletes compete in 3 disciplines: the underhand chop, the stock saw, and the standing block chop. The times achieved will be converted into points upon completion of each discipline. In round 1, a difference of 1 point applies in each discipline, thus the fastest athlete received 12 points and the slowest only 1 point. Any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. At the end of the first round, the athletes with the lowest scores are eliminated. Only 8 athletes make it to the second round. In this second round, the remaining athletes compete in the single buck and the springboard for increased scores. With 2 points difference between placings, the fastest athlete now receives 16 points and the slowest receives 2. The 2 athletes with the lowest total points are eliminated at the end of round 2. Only the top 6 reach the third round. In the third round, anything is still possible in the hot saw, as an increased score interval of 3 points applies in this final round. The fastest athlete can score up to 18 points at the hot saw, the slowest only 3 points. The athlete who manages to achieve the highest total score across all 3 rounds is the new champion.
So we understand how the competition works. Why don't we check out the tool and the setup for the first event? Here we go.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut through a 32 centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
Right then, let's get down to business, dear Timber Sports fans. The first event will be the underhand chop. We're going to see 6 heats, starting with Roussel versus Pubery, then Martens Knoll, Cumberland, Pabst in the third heat. It'll be Martin, the local boy, against Dubitsky, the Pole. Then it'll be Lentz Head, and we will wrap it up with Hanson and the favourite, Jack Jordan. The world record stands at 12:01. What do we think? Might we see any world records fall today?
Well, that's a tough call. It's always possible, and as Sterling did mention earlier on, the wood is looking very good for this competition, but it is a natural product, so anything can happen. You could find a knot in there. All sorts of things can go awry. You could chip the blade. You know, it's anybody's guess, but like, we're crossing our fingers for a world record because that makes it really fun for us here in the studio, of course, and obviously that's a fantastic thing for the athletes out on stage.
Really quickly, Sterling, you saw the players for the first round here, underhand chop. Any standout for you, particularly for this event?
You know, coming up in this first heat, 2 of our strongest competitors from Europe, so we're going to see what happens here.
And we are kicking off the STIHL Timber Sports Individual World Championships 2023 with the underhand chop. This is Heat 1. It will be Martin Roussel going up against the Frenchman Pierre Pubaret.
Martin Roussel was one of the main members for the Czech team in the competition when it was in the Czech Republic in 2019. I remember his reaction after he hit that last driver on the standing block chop. He just went bananas and the whole hall exploded. And here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Getting right into it right away. These two guys are going to be trying to get as cleanly through that first side and switch over to the other side. Let's see who's going to get there first, and obviously we like that action from the hall. It's Martin Roussel moving over to the other side. He's cutting really well today. Pierre Pubaret looking to try and get a good time here. Unlike the competition yesterday, this is a non-elimination situation, so these guys are battling to try and get the best time possible on that stage. And it looks like we've got a good time from Pierre Pubaret, 27:09, and Martin Roussel, who I thought was going to get that one faster, got it in 30.43.
Great start from the first 2 here in Heat 1. Roussel with a time unconfirmed as yet with 30.43. Pierre Pubaret nearly 3 seconds faster, 27:09. Sterling, what did you see just then?
Yeah, what I saw were some safe fronts, what we would call. You saw 10 hits from the Czech Martin Roussel, 11 from Pierre Pubaret. That sets him up to have a lot more options on the back. But what I did notice was a bit of a crust on the outside of those logs, and that's what you saw the times dip a little bit.
Also noticed that Martin found a knot, and he wasn't too pleased with that. He tossed it to the middle of the stage there.
All right, focus on good.
There is the confirmation from our judge that the cuts were both good. Roussel will put a time of 30.08 on the board, and Pubaret will take a slightly better revised time of 26.79 into the next heat. So talk us through it. You said 11 and 10s was what you saw.
Absolutely. Now, we saw picture-perfect fronts from both of these guys on the front. And I don't know if we're going to get a shot of it, but that knot that came out of Martin Roussel's block was not just any knot. That's what we call a prune knot. It cannot be identified from the outside, but see what it does? It holds that chip in there and does not let it out.
Yeah.
And a prune knot is known to be an axe killer. It is twice as hard as a knot that can be identified as a branch on the outside of the log. And that's what we saw hold up Martin Roussel in that last heat.
Fascinating. I thought prunes were quite healthy and a source of vitamins, you know. It sounds like they're Pretty challenging to Timber Sports athletes. Wow, interesting stuff. People were talking about Pierre Puberé before the tournament started. Let's see if they're talking about Koen Martens and Redmer Knol as much. This is the underhand chop, heat number 2. We're going to see the Belgian Koen Martens go up against the Dutchman Redmer Knol.
Redmer took a few good steps this year at the trophy, the World Trophy. And it's really shown in the way that he's taken his training regime to a new level as well. He spent a lot of time in Australia training down under to make sure that he was ready for this game.
These two boys know each other very well. They train together. They've competed against each other a number of times. Here we go.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So good start into the blocks by both of the guys. I could see Sterling out of the corner of my eye counting the drivers that's going into the blocks here. And it's Koen Martens switching over to the other side of his block ahead of Redmer Knol.
And look at the chips peeling out of that block. He's going for the drive. One more! And we've got a new leader.
That's a great time by Koen Martens, 19.60. Redmer Knol still trying to get through on that second side. And he's got a couple of sticky axes there as he tries to unwedge them each time he gets the driver through. He's just trying to power through at this point, isn't he?
There he goes. Well done, sir. An unconfirmed time of 35 and change. But wow, we really sitting the cat amongst the pigeons there. Koen Martens with a really fast time, 1960, Sterling.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty happy with that cut. Now, unfortunately for Redmer there, it looks like he did what we call stumping the block, where his hits didn't quite match up as you'd like, and that doesn't enable that block to come apart when he's going for those final blows. So I don't think he's going to be very happy with that cut.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Both axes held aloft. Celebration indeed. That is a very interesting time from Koen Martens. Like you said, Troy, it's not about winning the heats at this stage. It's about those times, isn't
It's
it?
about trying to get the fastest time possible so they can make sure that they get those points in each of these individual disciplines.
And you know, it's not just the power that he put into these hits, but look at the speed that Koen Martens is putting on that axe. And what we're looking for is not necessarily raw power when we're hitting. We're looking for axe speed. And the whip that Koen Martens is putting on that is what enables him to power through that and take out those chips a lot faster. And just look at him. Picture perfect.
I was just about to say, oh, they're going to hit the camera, and then one smashed right into the camera. That's good television. Thank you for that, sir. Do you think Redmer Knol will be disappointed with 35.6?
Oh, absolutely. He did not cut to his full potential. He's not going to be happy with that, but we'll see if he can bounce back in the stock saw and the standing block.
Right.
Yeah, personal best for Redmer of 25 and change, so, you know, for sure he's going to be upset with that as our next two competitors come on stage.
This is heat number 3 of the underhand shot. We're going to see the Canadian Ben Cumberland go up against Cyril Pabst from Switzerland.
Tail of the tape definitely has Ben Cumberland with the advantage, a personal best of 15.72. Cyril Pabst, personal best of 23.46. But as we've seen, that's not always going to determine who's going to win this competition.
Sterling, we saw Ben Cumberland put something on the axe just then. What was that?
That's a little bit of oil stabilizer. That's going to give him a little bit of extra lubrication that allows that axe to not stick on those opening hits.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ben using pretty quick pace on his drivers as well as Cyril Pabst, both of them going quite fast with their drivers on the first side here, and Ben jumping over to the other side, barely wasting any time, getting that axe moving on the second side, looking very good, just passing the 16-second mark here, so this should be a good one for Ben Cumberland. Cyril Pabst right there with them on the second side, a few strokes behind. 21.63 for Ben Cumberland, surprisingly slower time than I thought it was going to be. Cyril Pabst still working on that second side, getting some encouragement from the audience here in Stuttgart, and he's just getting up there in the 30s now.
Come on, Cyril.
And there it goes at 38.25. He's going to be disappointed with that time. It's well off pace for him.
Wow, I got to say, I wish we had another camera in the studio at that moment, because Sterling was hitting every swing there with Ben Cumberland. Happy with the result there?
Absolutely. Ben Cumberland put forth an excellent cut. He took what the block gave him, and that's the true mark of an excellent. That's going to put him in a good position moving forward into the stock saw and the standing block. Shake his hand, Ben.
Both guns, arm, good.
Congratulations to Ben Cumberland with a time 21:39. He'll currently go into second place on the Underhand Chop standings with 3 heats to go. Koen Martens leading the table as we speak with a time of 19:35. Currently good enough for 12 points.
Now what we see in this chop here, Ben Cumberland actually hit that in roughly the same amount of hits as Koen Martens, but he did have a few hits that actually did stick in that block. So we talked about putting that oil stabilizer on it to loosen that edge, but he might have been hooked. Sometimes when these guys rush those hits a little bit, the toe of the axe actually gets hooked in that block, and I think that's what we might have seen happen there to Ben Cumberland.
Yeah, I think you saw there from Cyril Pabst, his body language telling us that he wasn't really happy with that. Let's see if we get more happiness. You hear a little bit of a buzz in the stadium. This is the local boy, Danny Martin, going up. For the first time in the Porsche Arena and his home stadium, we're going to see the German Danny Martin go in Heat 4 against the Pole, Michał Dubicki.
Danny Martin was chopping the underhand chop in the team competition yesterday, definitely getting his time in on the block there, getting ready for today. And you can see all those marks on the top of the block, the guidelines that the guys have set up, and that's one of the reasons the guys do that, is so that they don't stump the block like you mentioned, right? This is so they cross over with each other.
Absolutely, and we're going to see a technician taking on an axe machine in this heat.
Yes.
Empty, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So if you keep a close eye on the right-hand side of your screen there, Michał Dubicki is the axe machine, as Sterling mentioned, and Danny Martin being the technician, but it's Michał Dubicki, pure power and speed, going on to the other side. First about a stroke and a half, 2 strokes ahead of Danny Martin here, but Danny Martin definitely has that home advantage. But wow, look at the time for Michał Dubicki. 15.94 seconds. Danny Martin with a 20.81. He's pleased by that.
2 very strong times here. Wow, sub 16 seconds from Dubicki.
Yeah, Danny Martin keeping it consistent as well. He's in and around his personal best time, not too far off.
Absolutely, and just the raw power of Michał Dubicki. He didn't put many hits in the front. He turned around and he was just beating on that thing like he was trying to get information out of it. Such raw horsepower from the Polish
enhanced
powerhouse.
Interrogation techniques.
I love it. That's the next way that I'm going to get information out of somebody. Let's see if the results are clean.
Okay, both guns, arm, good.
There is the confirmation from our judge, Dr. Jörg Kutzenberger. Both cuts are good. The German Martin with a time of 20:59. Michał Dubicki, the current leader, with 15:69.
I was talking with Red Knoll earlier, and we were mentioning or talking a little bit about Michał Dubicki, and he said, yeah, if Michał Dubicki's technique becomes accurate, then he's going to be a scary man on the underhand.
Absolutely, he's packed full of power, but it's the speed at which he puts those hits in. And he drew a very nice block in this, maybe one from further up the tree. Both of these guys, you see those chips just spewing out of those blocks as we have a look at Danny Marr here, putting on a clinic. But just the power and the hit pace. He took just enough wood to get that thing in half, and I think Michał Dubicki is going to be very happy with that underhand cut.
Absolutely right. Currently good enough for 12 points with just 2 heats to go. So it's all about collecting points, not only in the early stages. Right, this is heat number 5 of the Underhand Chop. We are going to see the Australian Jamie Head going up against the American Jason Lentz. Head in the green and yellow, and Lentz in the red, white, and blue.
Both of these men did not end up here by accident.
No.
2 of the best underhand cutters the world has ever seen.
Empty, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So right away, Jamie Head getting into it with those quick axe drivers, very much like Braden Meyer, and there's no doubt these guys have been training a bit together. Jason Lentz moving over to the other side of his block quickly, though, about 2 strokes ahead of Jamie Head. Let's see how this ends up as they go through this second side with a lot of support from the audience here. There's a big chip that needed to come off of Jamie's block there that was sort of getting in the way, but it went away.
20 seconds there.
Oh, and Jason Lentz with a 21.98. Jamie Head getting close to it with a 26.39 finish.
Now, those were both great cuts by those guys. Now, it should be noted, when these blocks are drawn in the morning, they all come from the same stand of timber, but it is luck of the draw from where in that tree that you get the block.
Right.
So it is as even as we can get it. And you saw a little bit of a variance in the wood there, where Jim normally would be a bit under 20 seconds, but he took what that block gave him. He cut that extremely well, but it might not be quite the result he was looking for.
It's a lottery system for choosing these blocks, and these guys don't just get handed these pieces of wood.
All right, both guns. Good.
Fantastic. Good news. So far, no DQs. All 10 hits have been clean and good. A very interesting point you make there about the wood and where it's sourced and where it comes from and how it affects the performance of the athletes, right?
Absolutely. And a block that is from the bottom of the tree, say right from the bottom, we call that a butt log. And you can see here how the chips aren't just shooting out as we've seen in some of the other ones. That means that block is from further down the tree because that block at the bottom has been compressed over time by the weight of the tree, making those fibers a lot more dense and difficult to actually cut, whereas Jason's block, maybe from a little bit higher up, he drew well, he knew those chips were coming out, so he can take off a little bit of power and add some speed in and get the same result with a faster time.
Great science, and my new favorite word, butt log. This is heat number 6 of the Underhand Chop. We are going to see the World Trophy reigning champion Jack Jordan go up against the Swede Emil Hansson.
Now Jack Jordan, as if this wood does come out firm like we saw in some of the previous heats, Jack Jordan would definitely be a favorite to take this event. But either way, one of the most dominant underhand cutters in the world, so I expect some fast times out of both of these guys.
First time for him competing in a individual world championship. What do you think the nerves are going to be like for the young man?
I think he'll be just fine.
Ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Yeah, Jack Jordan didn't seem to be too bothered by having to battle in the World Trophy. And, a bit of a sticky one there for Emil Hansson is on the first side. And another sticky one for Emil, but he got it out and he moved over to the other side of his block. I can't see where Jack Jordan's at this point, but there he is on the second side of his block.
Jack's going for the drive.
Yep. And there it is, 20.32, a personal best here for Jack Jordan. Very good job. Emil Hansson struggling to get through with a few sticky axes on that second side. Maybe he too has a butt log, who knows?
And there you see another one of those unfortunate prune knots.
What a knot. That's awful, isn't it? Come on, Emil, finish it off there, brother. There he is, there's he through.
He's going to have a look at the edge of that axe. Like we said, axe killers, but hopefully that thing's been dumped up enough to save that axe out. And we saw some uncharacteristic times from both of those guys, but again, they took what the natural product gave them, and we're going to see what the judge has to say about both of those cuts.
We are indeed, as it stands, if it is given the green light by the judge, Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger, then Jack Jordan's time of 20.02 would be a personal best for him. Here we go, let's see the result from the judge.
Okay, both guns are good.
Both cuts are good, beautiful, great work. All competitors there, all 12 given the green light, and the scores go on the board. And it is the Pole Mikkel Dubicki who is currently leading the leaderboard with 12 points out of that time of 15.69. Jordan and Martin shortly behind him, also sub 21 seconds, the local boy Danny Martin. And we've got Pabst and Hansson with slower times. They will currently pick up 2 and 1 point respectively.
Right, now we should remind the audience that we've got still the stock saw and the stand.
Okay, so talk us through the last clip here, if you would, Sterling.
Absolutely. Now, we said Jack Jordan, a specialist in cutting firmer blocks like this, but and you see the stick from Emil Hansson there. He drew a tough log. That knot in the center holding in chips from both sides, and you see Jack putting everything he has into that block, but it just wasn't coming apart the way that he had hoped. And Jack Jordan, the underhand is one of his best events, so I don't know if we're going to see that shake things up a little bit further on down the line because he didn't get the points that he was counting on.
Very interesting point indeed. That was the first event. That was the Underhand Chop. We got 5 more. We've done something manual. Now let's do something with a machine. Let's go stock saw.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, one downward and one upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
So we are ready for the second discipline. That is the stock saw. Maybe you can even hear the athletes warming up behind us. We're going to see 6 heats here. We're going to see the Canadian Cumberland going up against Head. And then in the first heat, beg my pardon, and then Jordan Pubaret in the second heat, Roussel Pabst Dubitsky, the current leaderboard leader, going up against Lentz. And then the local boy, Martin, in the last heat. This is the stock saw. We're going to kick off with the stock saw. This is heat number 1. This was Ben Cumberland going up against Jamie Head.
This one's all about knowing the machine and feeling the vibrations of the machine and hearing it as well if it bogs out, or if you're putting too much pressure on that bar, the chain is going to slow down and stop you not having a real clean cut. So it's important for these guys to make sure they really feel the machine in their hands, and good knowledge of the machines is also key here, isn't it, Sterling?
Warm up the saw.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice quick pickup for both of these guys. Look at that thin cookie by Cumberland. Thin to win is the rule of thumb. And Cumberland with a beautiful transition on the upcut. Oh, but Jamie Head's a little bit faster on the upcut, and it looks like Cumberland's got a massive piece on that upcut. That was a huge thing.
With the line there, Cumberland.
I really hope he didn't go over that line, because that's going to mean a DQ for him. Uh-oh, I see the flag on the play. That's bad news for Ben. Let's hope that the judges look at this and they don't see him come over the line.
Of course, that flag doesn't necessarily mean a disqualification. It means the judges have something that they want to take a look at to make absolutely certain. So you saw an extremely thin first cut from Ben Cumberland there, which maybe he overcompensated and went for a thick second one. So that's what the judges are going to check out.
Okay, on Sunday we have a DQ, cut the line. Your cut is good.
Congratulations to Jamie Head. That's a great time, a personal best of 11:15. Commiserations to Ben Cumberland. Absolute disaster. That upstroke went over the line and resulted in a DQ. We're going to see the slow motion here. What went wrong, Sterling?
Exactly. And I was just saying, you see that extremely thin cookie, and he actually had to steer that to keep it in the wood. And while he was thinking about steering it in, he went for his upcut, and I think it set him off a little bit. And you even saw him kind of load up the saw too much.
I think he knew it, didn't he?
Well, it was just not a great thing right from the start for him. Unfortunately, I don't know if nerves got the better of him. They call the stock saw the equalizer, though, because everybody is running the exact same saws, tuned the exact same way. It just comes down to the operator and basically who can handle their nerves on that big stage.
And we saw him give him a little shake of his head as well on that upcut. He knew it right away.
Exactly. But congratulations to Jamie Head, right? Great performance.
Absolutely. Very good job.
Okay, we're going to see heat number 2 shortly. That's going to be Jordan versus Pubaret. The team here just making the last minute preparations on stage. And here come the athletes. This is heat number 2 of the stock saw. This is Jack Jordan from New Zealand going up against the Frenchman Pierre Pubaret. You call it the equalizer, Sterling. So they're both starting with the same machine from the same starting point. It's all about technique, right?
Absolutely. First step is getting to that saw first. right? Now, Pierre Puberet, you'll see him set back a little bit different style than you may see, well, you're definitely going to see out of Jack Jordan. But Pierre, actually one of the best stock sawyers in the entire world at this time. So I expect to see a very good time out of him. Jack's going to want to get some points as well.
Warm up your saw. Effie, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ooh, that was a quick pickup by Jack Jordan. He got in there fast. Puberet, though, he's got a very thin first cookie. Let's see how this transition is for these guys. That looks good for Puberet, and Jordan's leaning right into it. Puberet with an 11.84 time. Jack Jordan, personal best of 12.47. We're going to see personal best for Jack Jordan across the board here because this is his first individual world championship. So that's a good run for both of these guys here. A 12.47 for Jack Jordan and 11.84 for Pierre Puberet. Of course, both of these times unofficial till we get the thumbs up from Dr. Jörg Kutzenberger.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Both scores will go on the board. Jack Jordan with a time of 12.27. Puberet has been corrected upwards to 11.75. So we've got 3 sub-13 times already on the board here, Sterling.
Absolutely. Now that's going to sit Pierre in second place there, leaving Jamie Head on top of the leaderboard. And hopefully as we get a look at some of these replays here, Jack Jordan was actually into the wood just ahead of Pierre. And I wouldn't have called that if you had asked me before the start of the event.
Interesting.
But, you know, the experience and the technician that Pierre is, he pulled ahead of him through those 2 cuts, and that's what gave him the lead in this event. And that's extraordinary to see.
You can see this transition there from Pierre Puberet, barely a swing.
Beautiful cut.
Didn't seem to be working hard at all. Seemed effortless.
No, exactly, and that's what you're looking for. And the stock saw, as we always say, the same as in the team event, nobody has ever won the event from a stock saw, but you can definitely lose it.
And this is heat number 3 of the stock saw. It's going to be Pabst from Switzerland going up against Martin Roussal from the Czech Republic. Personal best for Martin Roussal on the stock saw of 10.08. That would, if he were to get anywhere close to that, put him very close to the top of the leaderboard as it stands.
Warm up your saw. Effie, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Long, tense delay before the start signal goes here for both of these guys, but they both get into the wood quite quickly. Nice upcut there from Cyril Pabst as he's looking very good here. 11.13 for him and 12.28 for Martin Roussel. Both of them a little bit slower than their personal best times, but they're not going to balk at that as they will gain some good points here. At the moment, if we look at the overall standings, Jack Jordan and Jamie Head are in the top 2 positions, but there are still quite a few athletes to cut here in the stock saw.
High fives all round, 2 great shows. Let's see if that is given the green light.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Indeed it is. Both cuts are good, and Cyril Pabst's time has in fact been rounded down to 11.06. That's only fractions off his very best time ever, and it's good enough for first place in the stock saw at the moment. Were you surprised by the speed there from Pabst?
I was surprised to see him pull ahead, because what I saw was actually the Czech Martin Roussel into the wood first, and actually, see, he pulled ahead of him on the way down. Again, that operator, Cyril Pabst, we haven't seen him much on the individual world stage for a while. So, you know, he came here prepared to give it his all, and he knew that his chopping might not be able to keep up to some of the top dogs. So he was going to need those points in the still stock saw.
Well, yeah, one of the slowest times in the underhand chop, but at the moment he's currently got the fastest time in the stock saw. This is the interesting thing, isn't it? It's a marathon, not a race, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, it's a marathon, not a race. Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but there are certain points where you do need to sprint a little bit, you know. So yeah.
And here we go with Heat 4 of the stock saw. This is Michael Dubitsky going up against the American Jason Lentz, both with sub 11-second personal bests here. We could see some fireworks.
Absolutely, and if we don't see fireworks, we're going to see some thunder. Those are two big boys up there taking on the steel stock saw, but Jason Lentz, one of the best chainsaw operators out of the United States, so we'll see if his prowess can bring him through in this event.
Going through the last-minute preparations here, the mental run-through.
It's very much about routine in this case, isn't it? It's setting everything in the right place.
Absolutely.
SD, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, Jason was in there quick.
Quick pickup from Lentz, yeah.
Nice transition, bit of a thicker second cookie here for Jason Lentz, but Dubicki, oh, I thought Dubicki was going to get it, but it was Jason Lentz just a hair faster than Michael Dubitsky. Good job, and we're getting hard thumbs up here in the studio from Sterling Hart.
Well, it's difficult to tell by Jason Lentz. He always looks serious, but I think he's got to be happy with that time. 11:56 as yet unconfirmed. Dubitsky a little bit slower, 12:18.
Okay, both cuts are good.
You did an interesting head shake there as you saw the 2 times come on the board, Sterling.
Yeah, we saw Jason Lentz take out that first heat there, did we not?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. I just thought I saw the times come up on the screen. So what you see on the live stream first come up might not be those official times right away.
Exactly.
Right? Those times go into our studio and they are analyzed by an extremely high-tech timing device. And that's how we can assure that if a world record is broken, you know, we get that down to the 100th of a second. And as we see Jason power through the top here, taking out that heat. And that's going to sit him in 3rd place currently in that stock saw. And those are points that he definitely needs going forward.
Yeah, that's right. If it were to stay like that, he'd take 10 points through to the overall standings. Okay, with 2 heats yet to go, Michael Dubicki currently leading the standings. This is heat number 5 of the stock saw. This is Koen Martens going up against Redmer Knoll. These 2 boys were up against each other in the first heat as well. Also now in the stock saw. Total coincidence from the computer, though.
Total coincidence, absolutely. It's also Koen Martens holding the national record for stock saw for Belgium.
Warm up your saw. SD, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ooh, dead even start by both of them, Koen Martens and Redmer Knoll. Redmer looking like he's a little bit quicker on that first stroke. Koen Martens can catch up. He has and has gotten himself a good time of 11:54. Redmer Knoll was good, though, with a 12:37. Great job by both of these gentlemen.
Yeah, those were 2 definitely great cuts. And you saw some 2 different contrasting styles here. You'll see more when the replay comes up. But and I'll go into depth a little bit more in a second as we wait to hear from the judges and make sure that both of those cuts were good.
Yeah, Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger not wasting any time with his decision-making today.
Both cuts are good.
I said so, yeah.
Wow, and that's unfortunate. You see Redmer actually drop down the list down into 9th place in that event, which is going to drop him down into 11th overall, and that starts to put him on that bubble, you know.
You start to play catch-up, don't you?
Exactly, and I was talking about the 2 different styles. You'll see Koen Martens keeping that saw dead flat, whereas you'll see here now Redmer actually rocked that saw.
That's right, yeah. What is he trying to achieve there?
Now, you can add more leverage that way by doing that, but what it can do is take pressure off one side of the bar instead of keeping it dead even. So that might just be the split difference that Koo needed. You also see him that little flick at the end.
I saw that flick at the end there, yeah.
He did. Because the blade is actually going through slightly less wood at the top, you can apply more pressure. And that's what you saw a good operator do at the end there with perfect timing. You saw the fist pump.
I tell you, my garden's going to look fantastic after all of this advice and this world bronze medalist here. Thank you for that, Sterling. Fascinating stuff. The technique of timber sports. Fist bumps all round, Sweden versus Germany. We are now going to see heat number 6 of the stock saw. It's Danny Martin, the local boy, going up against the Swede Emil Hansson. Emil Hansson with a personal best on the stock saw, sub 10 seconds. That would be lightning and very, very interesting if we were to see that. Currently low down on the leaderboard, he needs a good stock saw here.
Yeah, and Danny Martin is an absolute technician when it comes to the motor saws in hand. I mean, you know, stock saw, hot saw, these are his absolute disciplines. So the guys will get the saws warmed up here and we will get racing.
Empty, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Great start by both of them. Danny Martin right into it real quick, but Emil Hansson's got a first very quick cookie. Let's see how the transition works for both of them. Emil Hansson looking good on this one at 11. Oh, 11.82 and 11.41. How close was that heat between these two guys? Danny Martin now is looking quickly at the cookie and the line. Did he come close to that line? I don't know. They're looking closely at it. No, he's fine on that line. He didn't get over it at all.
Wonderful reaction from the home crowd here in Stuttgart. They loved every bit of that from Danny Martin. If that time is confirmed, 11.41. That'll be the third fastest of all the stock saws today. Let's just wait for the confirmation from the judge, Dr. Jörg Kutzenberger.
Okay, focus, are good.
All right, so there was a moment of doubt there where we saw the judge having a very close look at that, but wowee, the local crowd enjoyed that, didn't they, from Danny Martin?
Absolutely, our hometown hero there, Danny Martin, actually trained by the late legend Dirk Braun, former world record holder in this event. So it's no accident that we saw that third place finish from him in that event, and that's going to pop him up our final leaderboard as we see our stock saw times and now our overall standings.
Indeed. Current leader is Koen Martens with 20 points overall, closely followed by Danny Martin, the local boy, with 19 points, Dubitsky and Head on 17 points. Cumberland, Hansson, Rusal and Knoll are gonna have to go some to make the cut. We're going to go over to the arena for an interview with the local boy Danny Martin with our German host, Sandy.
Thank you, guys. Ja, Danny, wir sind ausgerastet. Das ging richtig schnell von der Hand und ich habe gesagt, das war doch richtig gut und du hast dich richtig geärgert, weil es Probleme gab. Du hast gesagt, du hättest das noch schneller machen können.
Ja, es war leider ein Ast drin gewesen, aber ich sag mal mit der Zeit, ich weiß gar nicht, welchen Platz ich jetzt habe.
Platz Nummer 2.
Ja, einwandfrei, oder?
So, he said he had some problems with his wood and so he was not sure which place he's got. Place number 2. Das fühlt sich richtig gut an hier.
Das fühlt sich geil an.
So, audience is there. Good luck for the competition. What can we expect from the next two? What can we expect from the next two competitions? Was können wir erwarten von dir bei den nächsten beiden?
Ja, jetzt geht's um Standing und ja, alles geben, oder?
Okay, so ich sage, give it all. Wir geben zurück ins Studio.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Wonderful interview from Danny. I love the way he's connecting with the audience there, keeping them on his side. Very wise indeed with this fantastic Stuttgart full stadium here. Wonderful stuff. All right, let's check out a couple of slow-mos here. And maybe we can take a very close look at some of the technique. Danny Martin here, grimace on his face, but smooth and steady hands, I'd say.
Absolutely, as we were saying before, trained by one of the best to ever do it, the late Dirk Braun. And that was the cut that Danny Marr needed here. But you see that nice thin disc and a beautiful transition by Emil Hansen, who was actually ahead at this point. And you see Danny Martin in the back pull ahead just the top of that block, as we were saying. A little bit less wood, so he might have changed the pressure at just the right time. You know, this is one of his best events, and he knew he needed every single point that he could get to make it past that elimination round, having just the standing block left for these guys to garner some points.
Danny's working a lot with the audience, isn't he? You know, we're seeing the fist bumps and the signs to them and stuff. Do you think he's kind of working off that energy?
Definitely he's working off that energy. This is also something that's come late for Danny. I mean, he was all business previously. You know, the last couple of years we've seen him improve in his timber sports step out onto the stage. But now when he comes out on the stage, he's interacting with the audience. He's getting fist bumps from them, high fives, and that's really playing into his attitude as well as an athlete.
Right, beautiful analysis here. Thank you for that, boys. We're going to go to the next discipline. That's the standing block chop. Let's check out your dulcet tones again to see how that works.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 30 centimeters has to be cut through both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
So this is the next discipline. It's the standing block chop. We're going to see 6 heats again. Parbs Roussel, Martin, the local boy, currently in second place, going up against current first place leader Martins. Then it'll be Cumberland, Puberé, Knoll, Jordan, Hanson, Dubitsky, and Head versus Lentz in heat number 6. What do we need to know about the standing block chop? Sterling, what's going through your mind if you were just about to go out there now?
I went out back earlier when everybody was setting their blocks up and had a look at those standing blocks. And from the team's race last night that we saw, a lot of the standing blocks was extremely fast wood, probably from further up the tree. So maybe we'll see that world record be in danger today.
Ooh, how interesting. Interesting prediction here.
Predictions abound.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. The first round is on you if we don't see one now, right?
Well, you know, I'm not often wrong.
That's why we hired you. You're in good company here in the studio. Let's get ready for the heat number 1 of the standing block chop. We are going to see the Swiss Cyril Pabst go up against the Czech Martin Roussel.
This is a discipline where Martin Roussel really is very, very strong. He was the anchor for the Czech team. So this is an important discipline. It's also one of his best disciplines, so we'll keep a close eye on him. That's not saying anything against Cyril Pabst, however, as he has got some pedigree and he's ready to go.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Cyril Pabst getting really well timed into it, and both of these guys hammering away on those blocks right away. Let's see who's going to switch over to the other side. It's going to be Martin Roussel. Did he have 8 hits on that first side? I didn't see that. I wasn't counting them. Depending on Sterling Hart to do all the counting there. Well, it's looking close for Martin. A couple more drivers should do it. There he goes. 23.83 cut time for Martin Roussel. Cyril Pabst just getting past the 30-second mark as he drops the block in 31.01.
Cyril Pabst struggling to find, oh, hello, we're not just timber sportsmen, we're dancers here as well. Loving the connection there with the audience, and even the cameraman or camera operator there.
Giving us a little floss.
His little thing as well. That's the kind of atmosphere we're enjoying here, loving that. So we saw Roussel and Pabst there. Pabst struggling for a little bit of consistency. Let's see if these cuts are good, and then let's dive into the debrief.
Okay, both cuts are good.
That is the confirmation that the singer and dancer and hat thrower Roussel has put a very strong time on the board, 23.55. Pabst just got stuck up there, didn't he?
Absolutely, and I did say before that I'm not often wrong, but I may have been wrong in this case. But different wood needs to be chopped in different ways. And I've trained with both of these guys. I've been to check and train Martin Roussel. He likes to take a little bit less slope on this, meaning his angle is not quite as steep. The ideal angle being 45 degrees down, which we see from Cyril Pabst here.
Okay.
But sometimes this wood, if you put a little bit of extra slope on it, it'll actually help that wood and those chips blow out a little bit quicker. And you can see what we call mishits here, as then each hit is not perfectly following the last. And so that's where we see a little bit of wasted energy and a few extra hits going in. And at this stage of the game, every hit can mean the difference between moving on or going home.
Well, he's got some serious moves, this boy, isn't he?
And let's not forget, too, this discipline is our last in round one, so these guys have to perform well on the standing block chop in order to gain the points to move on to the next round and be among the top 8 guys going there.
You can hear in the arena that he's back. Danny Martin will go up in Heat 2 against Koen Martens. Up until the last round, he was leading the leaderboard. Currently in 3rd place, Koen Martens.
He may still jump up there if he has a good time here in standing. He's a very solid standing block chopper. Danny Martin also really, really adept at this discipline. I mean, Danny has been working a lot on all of the disciplines, and Koen Martens even said to us earlier on that he's trained in all 6 disciplines for the event today, so he's going to be on fire today.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Huge reaction from the crowd straight away.
Absolutely. Well, they love seeing these guys hammer that wood. Wow, Koen Martens quick over to the other side. Was it too soon is the question. Danny Martin moving over to the other side of his block, about 3 strokes behind Koen Martens. And Danny Martin's got a ton of power. Koen Martens got a lot of accuracy, though. I might have misspoke. And Danny Martin's got a personal best, 29.7. That power helped him out. Koen Martin struggling with the last couple of threads here. Oh, that's a troublesome spot right there for Koen. And a 29.91. And you can see some disappointment right there. So that means Danny Martin will automatically take over the top of the leaderboard and push Koen Martens down into 2nd place. And Danny Martin with the fastest time of the day in standing, just ahead of Martin Roussel, then Koen Martens with the 3rd fastest time. And I don't think that's going to hold that position very long with the athletes that are coming.
Wow, Danny Martin with a personal best time of 20.97. He's loving every second of this local crowd here. They're pushing him on. It feels like they're knocking off a couple of seconds every time. Great showing, Danny. Well done also, Koen Martens.
Okay, both cuts are good.
It's kind of just as well, because I feel that the audience would have turned if they'd have taken that away from Danny Martin. A personal best time of 20.70. Well done, sir, indeed.
Yeah, and a great cut by Danny Martin, but more surprising to me was an uncharacteristic cut from Koen Martens.
Right.
Normally quite a technician in this event. You saw him put those beautiful 8 hits in the front. And up on that stage, you know, it's loud. Sometimes nerves can get the better of you, and we were talking in one of the last heats about not tracing your hits. You know, each hit should follow the last one. And Koen Martens, they're struggling to get that block off at the end. As much as Danny Martin's good cut is going to affect the leaderboard, Koen Martens could affect it even more, because that's going to drop him down a lit and bump somebody else up as we see that last fiber. And those few 2, 3, 4
And he
hits,
missed it, didn't he? Came too short, and so it was almost like a wasted swing.
You know, and it's unfortunate because he's going to be thinking about that for the next year, but will he use that as fuel to come back stronger?
Really? Do we think about these things that long?
Oh, yeah.
It's those traffic situations. I should have said this instead.
You ever seen a hot saw race from 2016 in Stuttgart?
Yeah.
Still thinking about it.
This is heat number 3 of the standing block chop. We are going to see Pierre Pubaret from France go up against Ben Cumberland from Canada. Your landsman here, Sterling Hart, he had a bit of a sticky run-in the last discipline. Are we going to see more in the standing block chop from him here, do you think?
Absolutely we are. I've been training with him all week. If there is a powerhouse in this event, it's Ben Cumberland. He's going to cut this smart and fast. Right, Ben? One of the best men to ever pick up an axe in Canada.
Ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And here we go. Pierre Puy-Barré on the right in the blue, Ben Cumberland in the black, white, and red on the left-hand side of the stage. And wow, he's got that thing shaking already.
Oh, but we got a
That's
split
a big
block.
problem. That's a big problem right there for him, because that could cause a bit of an issue here. And that split block, you'll explain that to us a little bit more, Sterling, what that means for him as he is trying to get through that thing now. And he's done it in 22:41. And that could have been an ugly situation for Ben had that broken off. And Pierre Puy-Barré has managed to do it in 24:41. So a close heat between these two guys. And talk a little bit about that split block, excuse me.
Absolutely. When somebody like Ben Cumberland, with as much power as he has, hits that block, and unfortunately one of his down hits in the front actually scooped down a little bit and pinched that out. You'll see it more in the replay, but that happened to split that block, and that just made it even more difficult on the back because he was trying to hit a moving target.
Yeah.
And that just takes away force on the block as we get the final decision from the judge here before we look at the slow motion replay.
All right, both cuts are good.
There's the confirmation that both cuts are good. Puy-Barré's time of 24:04, currently the 4th fastest time. Ben Cumberland's is the 2nd fastest at 22:19. But I, as a layperson, had the feeling it could have gone quicker if it
Right
hadn't
there,
been for the
that
decision.
hit you saw, that's what I was talking about, that scoop down, and now that block is split.
Yeah.
So every hit is absorbing his axe instead of taking all the power. On the back now, he's trying to hit a moving target, and that's why you see that axe sticking after every hit. And so now he's just playing.
It's split vertically, I see what you mean.
Exactly,
right.
and now as that block is moving, it's absorbing his axe and it's sticking, and that's not what he quite wanted. And we see Pierre actually run out of wood. And again, not the best cut we've seen from either of those guys, and we'll see how that bubbles out here with our last few. And very strong axemen we've got coming up here.
Indeed. Wow, pity. You were talking about how important the wood is. You know, you get that luck of the draw, don't you? Ben was flying through that, and then all of a sudden that probably took a couple of seconds off him. All right, we've got two more brutal axemen coming up here. This is heat number 4 of the standing block chop. We're going to see some fireworks from Red McNall and Jack Jordan. So we had a split block in the last heat there, Sterling. The wood plays a huge role in this competition, doesn't it?
Absolutely it does, and it's not just about having the best block, but knowing how to cut each piece of wood as it comes out, and you won't know exactly how that block is going to cut until after that first hit or two. And that's where experience comes in, and somebody like Jack Jordan, who's had an axe in his hand his whole life, that experience plays a big role.
Ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, getting right into it for both of these guys, Jack Jordan and Redmer Knoll. Big chips coming out for Redmer as he had to cut through one of those chips that was hanging on. Jack Jordan moved over to the other side of his block, now 3 strokes ahead of Redmer Knoll. Redmer now moving on to the second side of his block. Oh my goodness, that's a personal best. Fantastic time by Jack Jordan, 18:10. One more driver for Redmer Knoll and a 22:51 for him. Nicely done. That puts Redmer Knoll in 4th place in the standing block chop, but Jack Jordan tops the leaderboard there in the standing with an 18:10, the first guy to go below 20, in fact below 19 seconds. So that was a great run for the New Zealander.
Absolutely, that's a big man swinging a big axe, and he, you know, he went for that safe cut in the front, putting 10 hits in. Basically, we call it doing your homework on the front. So maybe you can skip class later on and get out early, and that's exactly what Jack Jordan did.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Absolutely love that analogy of the homework there, Sterling. I'm going to remember that one. Jack Jordan, wowee, personal best, 17:73. We were talking about him as a pre-tournament favourite, and he is still there. He had a bit of a slip in the stock short, but he is right back at it.
Now, I want to talk you through something here. He went what we call 2 up in the front. He put 2 hits and then 2 hits down. And what that did, normally he was looking for 6 hits in the front and he would go around. But that block came out so hard that he had to go to 10. But knowing that, he went to the backside and made that backside count, and that's what put him to the top of our leaderboard in that standing block chop.
It almost felt like that last swing from Jack Jordan that he maybe even wasn't expecting it to go clean through.
Well, exactly as I said, he put that large front and he did his homework, and so that block may have come off sooner than anticipated, right? But you'd rather that happen than the block be there longer than you would like. It's a first world problem.
This is heat number 5 in the Porsche arena of the standing block chop. It is Michael Dubicki going up against Emil Hansson. Personal bests both in the 16 seconds. They're going to have to go some to knock Jack Jordan off the current standing block chop leaderboard. Standing there with his personal best as is of 17:73. We are seeing some fantastic timber sports here today.
Yeah, Emil Hansson took a 1 point out of the underhand chop, not doing too well there, and 7 points out of stock saw. So right now he's at the bottom of the leaderboard.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ooh, that was a quick start from Emil Hansson. I hope he didn't jump the gun on that one. So he's getting into it right away. He's such a great athlete, and moving over to the other side quickly, Dubicki joining him on the second side of his block, about 2 strokes behind Hansson. Hansson going really quick with the axe. Dubicki doing the same thing here, which is something you're normally seeing on the underhand chop for these guys. And it looks like Dubicki just motored through that thing crazy fast. 29-3, Emil Hansson 22-16.
As I was explaining before, the most efficient way to cut a block, as we see a little note. Dubicki. As I was saying, the most efficient way to cut a block is on a 45-degree angle. But science also says that the quickest way from point A to point B is a straight line. Way that Michael Dubicki took through that standing block. But he's got the horsepower to do that, and that's what's going to put him into 3rd position currently in our standing block with just 2 cutters remaining.
We're getting everything from Sterling Hart today.
Oh,
Philosophy,
absolutely.
maths, and even a bit of science here.
Well, you get what you pay for.
That's helped Emil Hansson as well.
Both cuts are good. Emil Hansson will take a time of 21.90. Currently good enough for 4th place in the standing block chop, and that time from Dubicki will put him in 2nd place, 20.69 seconds.
Now, Emil Hansson, an absolute technician. He's come a long way in a short period of time, as we saw him in a Rookie World Championship not that long ago. And but just the horsepower of Michael Dubicki could not be overcome. As you see that final hit straight through, not quite the accuracy you'd be looking for, but
there was nothing clean about those sides.
Just help us all. If he ever starts putting those hits together, we are all in a lot of trouble, as we are already, as you see him in 2nd place with our final 2 strong standing block cutters.
That was a very helpful run also by Emil Hansson, because he managed to get himself up into 5th place. So that means he's safe for the next round if the 2 guys that are coming on stage now have very good times.
Do not adjust your sets. Jason Lentz is that big. This is heat number 6 of the standing block chop. This is the Australian Jim Head going up against the American Jason Lentz. Last bit of oil being added to the axe here from Jamie Head. The time that he would need to hit to take the lead in the competition would be 17:73, so look out for that one. Jason Lentz also still in touching distance of the leaders.
Ready! Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
It was a little bit of a bouncy axe for Jason Lentz there. I don't know if you saw that as well, Sterling, but it almost looked like his first drivers bounced out.
I didn't just see it, I felt it.
Yeah.
But I could feel the power of this man. 250 pounds, a USDA-approved beast, going for the drive!
Oh,
Jason Lentz!
15.51, fastest time of the day. Jason Lentz takes over the top spot.
He absolutely dismissed that last bit of wood there. That was in his way, and he put it out of his way. Jason Lentz with a scorching 15.51.
Sorry, I was just going to say Jamie Head with a 20.06, so not below the 20 mark, but enough for 3rd place right now in standing block chop.
Okay, both cuts are good.
Both cuts were good. That was heat number 6. Jamie Head with a revised time of 19.85.
Okay.
Jason Lentz with that absolutely wicked time of 15.28. That will give him 12 points to take with him into the overall standings. So we can see the completion of the standing block chop. The fastest time and 12 points go to Jason Lentz, 15.28. Jordan and Head with sub 20-second times. Personal best also for the local boy Danny Martin, 20.7. and Cumberland with that 22.19 after that split block.
If we look at the overall standings as well, when things get shifted around after this third discipline in round one, look at the scores in the top three positions. Lentz, Martin, and Head all with 27 points, and 1 point back of those boys is Mikael Dubitsky. Now remember, we are going to take the top 8 athletes from this first round and move them into the second round when we go into the single buck and the springboard.
So Roussel, Cumberland, Puberay and Knoll will be looking very closely at Pabst's record, currently in 8th place. That's the important line at the moment. Okay, so it's heating up. We're starting to see a little bit of consistency, right? We're seeing points go on the board from multiple players. Jason Lentz really sent out a statement with this swing in here, didn't he, Sterling?
Did he ever? You see those driving blows, that stand absolutely shaking as he hits it. Wow, the whole block just shaking in the stand. Those driving blows being felt all the way back in Diana, West Virginia from here over in Stuttgart, Germany. He knew when he drove that off. He went for a look at the time just to know how he stacked up, but I think he knew he had the win, taking that block off.
I think he did. Wow, he was a little bit quiet for me in the first two disciplines, but that is quite a statement. He's up there with 27 points. Danny Martin, the local boy, as well, 27 points. It's quite congested at the top, but for the next discipline, it's all about that cut, isn't it? It's all about the bubble position 8, right?
Well, I mean, now we're going to take away, the bottom guys in the list, the top 8 guys moving on to the next round. So round 2 coming up, and that's going to mean 8 athletes are moving from this round into the next round to start with the single buck. And the single buck, as you named it so graciously back in the day, the misery whip is going to be an interesting one for us, because that's where we could see a lot of times change as well, because it's I wouldn't call it the equalizer, but it's kind of among that that for me, that these guys have to have good consistency and rhythm during their runs here.
You've probably been in this situation yourself where maybe you're looking up and you're thinking, what have I got to do to make that 8th place? What's going through your mind at this moment?
It depends on each competitor. I know when I'm competing, basically, I never try and compete against somebody else. I'm never going for the win. I'm going to cut that block or saw it the best that I possibly can. Because not only is that going to put me in a position to win, if I don't win, it's going to put me in a mental position to be coming back next year, right? If you only stack yourself up against yourself, you're going to be happy at the end of the day with however you do. And as we see those bottom 3 guys in Redmer, Martin, and Ben Cumberland heading home early, they're not going to be happy with that. But, they went out there, they've done the training, and they put everything they had into that. Even though there was some small mental mistakes and maybe the wood didn't come out like they wanted, they put everything they had into that, and I think they should. Those 3 guys should rest easy, knowing that they stood with the top 12 athletes in the world.
Lovely words here. Okay, so the next discipline will be the single buck. This is an unbelievable tool. We saw them out there on the stage earlier. Why don't we check out a clip for you guys so you can get a feel for what kind of machinery they're working with. They call it the misery whip. It's a lot of hard work. It's a real all-body experience, right? Let's check out a clip that explains how the athletes go about dealing with this tool.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos, and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
So this is already eliminated. We go down to just 4 heats. We're going to see the single buck now. It's Pabst versus Hansson in heat 1, Martins Jordan in heat 2, Dubitsky Head in heat 3, and it'll be the American Lentz going up against the German in front of his home crowd, Danny Martin. This is heat number 1 of the single buck. We've only got 8 athletes remaining. We're going to see Cyril Pabst go up here against Emil Hansson.
Emil Hansen's dad, Hans-Ove Hansen, absolutely legendary single sawyer, one of the best with this saw in hand. So you know that Emil has the training from his dad to be able to do this discipline very well, and we've seen in past that he is quite adept at this discipline. Cyril Pabst, also very strong single sawyer, so we'll see these two guys going well against each other as we get the final sets of the saw here.
And those athletes are allowed that 30-centimeter set in along the top. That's there for safety and to make sure it's consistent for both athletes. So you see the determination. Cyril Pabst knows this is his moment.
The focus is fantastic,
He's made it to
isn't
that
it?
round 2.
Empty. Ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So both of these guys getting right into it. You can see the different angles that they're using on these saws. And look at the efficiency of the cut of Emil Hansen. Absolutely fantastic. Look at how quick that was. 11.80. That was an incredibly good time for Emil Hansen. A 15.41 for Cyril Pabst. Personal best for both of these guys here. That was a really, really nice set of cuts.
Was it ever? And I don't think Emil could have cut that any better.
No.
You know, a lot of these blades made from the saw filer J.P. Mercy out of Canada, refiled, and that's what these competitors are looking for. It's not just how good is the wood, how well do you compete. You got to have the equipment as well. But you know, the technique we just saw out of Emil Hansen was just, you could not have done that any better. He should be extremely proud of that cut.
That was a lovely
indeed.
cut.
All right, both cuts are good.
Well done, gents. Very nice indeed. Personal best all round. 11.54 for Hansson and 15.15 for Pabst. Pabst is right on the bubble there in position 8 currently, so he's going to need all the points he can get.
Now, as we take a look at this replay, you can see him running that saw absolutely perfectly. You don't want to see that saw rocking a whole bunch. You see the saw has a bit of a belly. It's not dead straight on the bottom, so he's running that saw to keep every single tooth on the wood he possibly can.
Hey, I'd be a good saw.
Absolutely you would.
I see what you've done there, sir. Clever.
You could see a bit of rocking from Cyril Pabst there, and that's where the difference was made up. As you see Emil Hansen using every single tooth efficiently, and that's why he was able to power through in a stroke and a half sooner. And we should remind everybody, too, that now that we're into the second round, all the points are worth double. So these 8 athletes, first place is going to get 16 points, second place 14, and so on. So we're going to see that leaderboard jump a lot as we go through this single buck.
This is heat number 2 of the single buck. It is Jack Jordan going up against Koen Martens.
Koen Martens holding the national record, another guy who holds a fairly good number of national records himself for Belgium with a 15.61. Jack Jordan will get a personal best here in this one, as it is, as I said, his first international individual competition, and he absolutely deserves to be here.
This is Martens in red going up against Jordan in the black.
Empty. Ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
And neither one of these guys opting. Oh, no, yeah, it's sure. Koen Martens is opting for the spike shoes. Jack Jordan not doing it. Oh, a bit of a sticky one for Jack there, but he still gets to the bottom of that cut in 13.20. Wow, great time, and another personal best for Koen Martens with a 14.77, destroying his previous personal best of 15.61, and Jack Jordan's 13.20 will put him in second place in single buck. Koen Martens in third place with Cyril Pabst rounding out the top 4 spots for the moment in single buck.
All right, both cuts are good.
It looks like Koen Martens is taking that cookie home to celebrate or commemorate that personal best here at the World Championships. Jack Jordan also picking up a personal best. That's 4 personal bests out of 4 runs. That's not bad at all, single bucking, is it?
Absolutely, and Jack Jordan had the potential to be winning this event. Now, him sitting currently in second, still with Jason Lentz, Jamie Head, Danny Martin, and Michael Dubicki still to go. That's going to put him into a bit of a tight spot going into the finals. You see two contrasting styles here. Kuhn Martin's using every single tooth on that saw, and Jack Jordan, you can see in the background that saw bowing.
You wonder what time he would have got if he hadn't had that hookup, right?
Right. We try not to think about that because it'll drive you crazy. But, you know, you want to run that saw as true as you possibly can, as we can see it starting to bow there, and that's what caused it to hang up. And one hang up is going to cost you at least a second, if not more. And then you see a bit of chattering on those last two back pulls. You know, he didn't keep the saw as level as possible, right? So when he hung up on that push, his foot probably moved. And once his foot moved, that changes the angle.
This is heat number 3 of the single buck. It is Mikhail Dubicki going up against Jamie Head. We've already seen 4 personal bests here today. We're handing them out. We're handing them out generously here. Will we see more personal bests here in heat number 3?
Anybody's guess. I would just wanted to add one more thing too to the bowing that you mentioned, Sterling, that the other problem with the saw bowing like that is that it could bend off and break the cookie away, where you have to reset the saw and cut off that last little bit of tooth, which also kills your time massively. We have seen that, but it's very, very seldom that we do see it when these guys really are on point.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Now this is a discipline that Mikhail Dubicki's been working hard on to improve in the last years, and we've seen him really become quite adept at this discipline. But look at Jamie Head go. Oh, and they're exactly what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was talking about. That piece broke off, and that meant that Dubicki had to go back and cut that off. You can see the disappointment there because he had such a great time. Oh man, that is a rough one there. The time got killed by that little tooth of wood at the bottom. But Jamie Head with an absolutely fantastic cut of 11.73, dropping a personal best, and Mikhail Dubicki with the little bit of extra wood at the bottom he had to go back and cut away.
And he did have the presence of mind to go back and cut that. If he had left the cut there, he would have been disqualified.
Exactly.
But he had the presence of mind to go back, finish that cut, which means he still gets the points, and he can make that up on the springboard and try and power his way through to that final hot saw event.
Okay, go, good.
Wow, things are really heating up here in Stuttgart. 5 personal bests already and still 1 heat to go. Dubicki, because of that hookup, 15.75. But Hansson's time of Jamie Head's time of 11.51, currently the fastest single buck of today. Good enough as it stands for 16 points.
Look at the intensity.
That is, and Jim is known as one of the best single sawyers out of Australia. You saw him cutting for the team yesterday in a couple races as he's driving those last few off.
He looks furious with the wood there.
He is, and you got to attack this like a madman, and that's what was able. And as you see Michael Dubicki here, foregoing oxygen in this case, as oxygen makes weak men. But you see that saw bow there, maybe putting a little bit too much weight on it. Luckily, he was able to go back and finish that off. Like, not what he's going to want.
It cost valuable time, didn't it?
Absolutely, it does, but he still gets the points.
This is the 4th and final heat of the single buck. This is Danny Martin against Jason Lentz. The world record for the single buck stands at 10.47. Jamie Head currently the fastest today here in Stuttgart, 11.51. Danny Martin would have to get exactly that time to take the overall lead.
Right, and as we watch these 2 final cutters go, you know, Danny Martin is an absolute technician on this, but if anybody's got a chance of taking down that world record, keep your eyes on Jason Lentz as well.
I mean, Jason Lentz's legs go all the way to the floor, so, I mean, he can step back well and truly far away from that block and use the entire length of that saw.
Absolutely, muscles hanging off his earlobes.
Healthy, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start by both these guys. Look at the intensity on Danny Martin there as he's pushing through. A little bit of rocking from Jason Lentz. Danny Martin, Jason Lentz, pretty even cut down to the bottom. Oh my God! Look at how close that time was. 2:23 to 2:28. Personal best for both of those guys, and they are over the moon over the moon. Fantastic run by Danny Martin and Jason Lynch. Outstanding.
Danny Martin is having the day of days at his home stadium here. Wowee, that we're going to have to wait and see what those times are resolved down to. But as it stands, Danny Martin, that's the third best time today in the single buck, 12:23. 7 personal bests out of 8 here. This is cracking timber sports.
Absolutely. Danny Martin asked for the applause from the home crowd.
He got it, didn't he?
He's been feeding off that energy. He's looking to get some points and get through to his favorite event, the hot saw.
Okay, focus, out, good.
Right, so very interestingly, both times were rounded down a little bit. In fact, Lentz's so much that he ended up with a slightly faster time than Danny Martin. Jason Lentz's time confirmed at 12:08. Danny Martin will take a 12:11. So we got 7 personal bests out of 8. Let's check out the overall rankings then. So confirmation that in the single buck, Jamie Head had the fastest time of 11:51, good enough for 16 points. Hanson, Lentz and Martin also with personal bests and sub 13-second times. Dubicki sadly down in 8th place, only 2 points taken with him to the overall standings because of that hook. That means that the overall standings after 4 disciplines are Jamie Head currently with 43 points leading the table, closely followed by Jason Lynch from America with 39 points, Danny Martin, the local boy, with 37 points, and Jack Jordan still in touching distance with 32.
And Michael Dubicki right now is on the bubble in 6th place because we're only taking 6 athletes into the next round, but we still have to still get through the springboard up next. But let's watch this first here with a little bit of color from Sterling.
Absolutely, and Danny Martin just cutting lights out in the single buck. You know, that home crowd, I think, really powering him through. Not the strongest springboard cutter, so he knew the single buck is where he needed to pick up time. And he did exactly that, sitting up in 4th place. You know, that cut, popping him up ahead there. As we see the times adjusted, yeah, that Jason Lentz did just pip him. But him being that close, Danny Martin's got to be happy with that cut.
Did we expect more from Jack Jordan until this stage today? We talked about him as a pre-tournament favourite. He's standing currently in 4th place. Only picked up 8 points in the single buck, and that's where the points are already doubled. So he is still in touching distance just, but do you think that it's a bridge too far?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, he's in 4th position. We've got 1 more discipline in round 2 still to go. So he still can get the points and that he needs to get in there. And as long as, you know what they say about the hot saw, it's the maker or the breaker, right?
All right, what we can do is we can take a look at a split screen here. We're going to see the 2 fastest heats that we just saw. Let's go ahead and check this out, and maybe you could talk us through the technique side by side here. Here we go.
All right, as we see Jamie Head on the right and Emil Hansen on the left. Very stretched out style. You see how much further apart Emil Hansen's legs were in this, and that's giving him a lot of extra power, right? Jamie Head saw him with his feet a little closer together. He doesn't quite have the power, but what it does do is give him a lot more rotational speed. So he was trying to get more strokes in than Emil Hansen, whereas Emil Hansen was stretching out, trying to use that entire saw. So you see 2 different styles, whereas in that case, Jamie Head pulling ahead. And in the overall standings, this is not what the rest of the field wants to see, is Jamie Head at the top of the field going into the springboard. Jamie, he is definitely one of the favorites of the springboard event. So, you know, if he cuts even close to what his average cut is, you know, that's going to put him pretty far ahead going into the hot saw.
Interesting stuff. We're going to take a short break here. We will be right back after these messages.
The STIHL brand world, a new home for a global brand. Discover how Andreas STIHL revolutionized forestry work. Feel what moves us today and what we move. Immerse yourself in the fascination of the forest. Informative,
3,
inspiring,
2, 1, go!
Entertaining. Experience STIHL from new perspectives in one place that connects everything. The STIHL brand world.
There's still some wild out there. But to look for it, you need something that can look adventure in the eye. Something built wild. You need a Bronco.
Okay, we're going to do an interview here with Sterling Hart. Sterling, you talked about Emil Hansson, the low center of gravity that he was showing there. I'm worried that his trousers are going to split at that stage. What's the science behind this?
I mean, trouser splitting is just part of the game. It just means we have to start charging more for admission, and it's a slightly different show. But when you're up there on stage,
he has a very good point.
A lot of it depends on who you were trained by. A lot of these European athletes have been trained by guys from overseas. Still over here has done a great job at setting up these training camps to help get countries started that maybe didn't have the strongest programs, and that's bringing young athletes in and helping the sport really grow over here. And, we've really seen that today with Emil Hansson being up there top in the single buck, which is traditionally an event that's been dominated by the big four, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the USA. And it's just great to see, that they've obviously put the time in, the training, they have the equipment. Like that single buck by Emil Hansson could not have been technically any better. Mm-hmm. And that's a really awesome thing as an athlete to see. Is other young athletes, especially a young athlete as well. Emil Hansson was on the rookie circuit maybe 2 years ago.
Yep.
And now here he is on the world stage, poised to head into the finals with the hot saw. That's amazing to see.
Before he gets into those finals of the hot saw, though, they got to go through that springboard. Now, you as a former world record holder in the springboard, what are some of the things that the audience out there can look for when they're going into the springboard here?
In fact, we can... Okay, I'm sorry. Apologies.
We're jumping to the next
we were being told different things in our ears. We wanted to see that clip. Maybe we'll have time later. We're going to go straight back into the sport. Here we go with the next discipline.
Springboard. Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees, climbing up over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. 2 springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete then climbs up to chop through a 27-centimeter thick block of wood in the fastest time possible.
This is the springboard. We're going to see 4 heats. We're going to see Pabst Hansson, and then in heat 2 we're going to see Martins Jordan. Heat 3 will be Dubicki versus the current leader Head, and then Danny Martin will go up against the current second placed Jason Lentz in heat 4. The world record 35.43, just a fraction under that world record that you set yourself, Sterling, a couple of years ago.
We may see that record fall today. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Was that tough when you saw that fall? We talked about it earlier, the effort that you put into it back then, and then to see it go a couple of years later?
Not at all, and we may see it go again. Who knows?
This is the absolutely fascinating discipline of the springboard. This is heat number 1. We're going to see Cyril Pabst go up against Emil Hansson.
So these are 2 guys that it's going to be an interesting one, and I did want to tap Sterling again for our audience that's out there in the arena here, and for those that are watching internationally on YouTube, Facebook, and on the various TV stations. What are some of the things that they're going to be wanting to keep a close eye on when these athletes are setting their boards, when making their first cuts, and what we want to just watch out for?
The perfect board hole is going to be what we call a 4-hit board hole. And that's what all of these athletes are going to be looking to do. So you're going to go on your first pocket, 4 hits, up, 4 pocket, 4 hits. And then once you're up top, you're going to want those boards to be at level or even slightly uphill. So first, the boards are going to be the biggest key factor for getting a good time. And then once they're up top, putting in a solid effort and having that block come off cleanly.
Is there a technique to creating those pockets, or are they just whacking?
Hit it hard, hit it fast.
All right, here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
That's what we want to see is that, and he's gone on 4. We're going to see him stick that in. Looks like a good board for Cyril Pabst. Both of them up on 4 hits. Emil slightly ahead at this point. Cyril's probably going to go for 6 hits on this top board, but we'll see. He is. Emil Boards in. Your first athlete up on the top.
This is where he's got to work on that top block now, and want to make sure that thing's secured properly, and these athletes have to set that block themselves and secure it properly to make sure it's not wiggling and waggling. And Cyril Paps up top there now too. This is a really difficult discipline. It's so finicky because there's so many things happening all at the same time. Setting the pockets, putting the boards in place, and here that awkward angle backside cut for Emil Hansen, who should get through in under a minute here. He's almost there. He's got to cut through clean. 49.51. That's a nice time for Emil Hansen. Seeing it under a minute is always good. Cyril Paps coming in on the minute mark. Now he opts to change his foot position and hit with the other side. And he's got a lot of material there, but a good final cut with a personal best 104.30. Like to see those personal best drop as well.
Oh, I think I saw a flag on the play. There is a flag on the play for the Swede Emil Hansen.
I think I know why, because it looked to me like he might have wrenched that top block off a little bit. They'll look closely at that in the Competition Control Center and video review. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Sterling.
Right,
maybe it is, and we'll see.
There is going to be a video check for potential wrenching from the Swede Emil Hansen.
So this is where these guys start to sweat bullets.
What are they looking for specifically here?
So as my colleagues were saying before, they are checking in for potential wrenching, and what that is instead of actually using the tip of the blade to slice through, they're saying that what he may have done is hit the axe in and then actually pried that block off. So that's what these judges are looking at. You see the slice, and we're going to have a look here and see. Now, it's hard to see exactly from this angle, and it's going to be up to the judges to determine if he did use an unfair technique to wrench that off.
What's your feeling? You've looked at a lot of these kind of clips.
I mean, it looks pretty good to me. You know, he did everything he could, and that block actually broke. You know, he didn't wrench it off, it broke, because you saw a piece of it left behind there. Which, but it's going to be up to our judges here to have the final say.
Is it going to make a difference here in this case because, you know, wrenched off or not, you know, if it did break off, there was still that little tongue that was left sticking up. He went back and cut that tongue off. Wouldn't that count as his final driver and as not really wrenching it?
Now, that's something might be looking at as well, because that piece that was left didn't actually run all the way to the top of the block. So
Right.
they may not consider that uncut wood.
So
they
many
were
things.
probably looking at multiple things there.
Yeah.
So Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger has spoken to his co-judge Andrew Hall here. We're going to get a decision.
Well, I see him smiling, so either that's going to be a good cut for Emil or he's an extremely cruel man.
Okay, we did a video check for potential wrenching on stand B. However, both cuts are good.
Ah, nice to see that.
It turns out that Dr. Jörg Kurzenberger is not a very vicious man. Great video check there, great expert punditry from you there, Sterling. Thank you very much for that. Fascinating stuff. 2 personal bests will be taken into the next round. Currently 16 points for Emil and 14 for Cyril Pabst as it stands.
And just picture-perfect boards for Emil Hansen. I am very impressed with this young man. His technique and skills at such a young age. And so you see here, he goes for 1 extra hit, maybe 2. And because he's gone through so far, when he goes to hit on the back here, there's not enough structure left in the block for him to actually cut it. So as he goes for this last hit, it's actually going to break this block, as you can see there. 1 more hit here, and I think that's the one. Right, and so he didn't actually wrench it. He was just trying to get the axe out.
He was trying to free the axe, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And now I don't know where the judges actually called that block cut. It's tough to say as we see Cyril Pabst come off there. And not the best cut we've seen from Cyril, but a solid cut nonetheless, and that's going to give him some points.
And Cyril will take that personal best home as well. So that's good. I mean, I love to see it when the personal bests go down. That just tells you that there's improvement and movement for these guys. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it tells you that these athletes are literally doing the best they've ever done. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic moment for them. So although the time at first glance, 104, doesn't look great, it's the best Cyril Pabst has ever done. And we have to, of course, wait and see what comes up in the other 3 heats. Very interesting, that close-up, particularly that angle that we saw in the replay there, really showed us that it wasn't a wrench, that he was just trying to get the axe out.
Absolutely, and our camera crew doing an amazing job at capturing those images at high resolution, and that's what's given the judges the assurity to make the correct calls up here on the stage and make sure that we get exactly the champion we want.
You can hear the local hosts, Sandy, and of course our legend of hosting here, Florty, in the arena, really whipping things up. Let's see what we get in Heat 2 here. This is Heat 2 of the Springboard. It is Koen Martens going up against the Kiwi, Jack Jordan. So we saw scenes in the first heat, a little bit of scandal, a video check. Will we get clean cuts here in heat number 2? Koen Martens from Benelux going up against Jordan from New Zealand.
And both of these guys know it's time to go. You know, this is the make or break. A lot of these guys are sitting on that bubble. As you said, we only take 6 through to the hot saw. So Jack Jordan is an extremely strong chopper, but he knows if he's going to have a chance at a world title here, he's got to put some distance between himself and play catch up on Jamie Head. And
he needs to have a good cut here. We haven't seen him do standing block or springboard yet, excuse me. You know, for us as a studio and an audience out there who haven't really seen him in the past do this discipline, it's going to be a first time for us, and he'll also, no matter what time he gets, will have a personal best here today. Here we go.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, again, these guys want to get those perfect pockets, 4-hit pockets, as Sterling said, is the way to go. And it looks like both of them have done just that, getting up onto the first board in sync with each other. Koen Martens starting on that second pocket a little bit ahead of Jack Jordan. Now that first board gets a bit saggy. Not too bad, though, for Koen Martens and
tight angle there
Jack
for Jordan.
Getting in. Ooh, but that's a really saggy board.
What we do see is that pocket was not very deep, and we're seeing some danger. He's going to have to get down and fix that pocket. That's giving Koen Martens the upper hand here, who actually took some time. He made some mistakes on that top pocket, but he went back and he fixed it. A very savvy move. Jack's now got his board where he thinks, and he's going to get up there. I don't know if he's going to have enough to catch Koen at this point. An extremely technically sound chopper, as Koen's going to put 2 more hits in, and he's going to make the turn.
Yeah, and that board for Jack is just not holding tight. It's still sagging a little bit. And the problem, correct me if I'm wrong here, Sterling, is that a sagging board means you have to step farther forward and you can't use the entire length of the axe to cut. And Koen Martens with a 59.06 celebrating with a little can on top.
Absolutely, as we see Jack, and like you said, he's now cutting uphill, so he's not able to get the force that he wants on that axe. His balance is off as this crowd of Stuttgart, Germany, 6,000 strong, cheering the Kiwi Jack Jordan on, taking that block off.
122.67, and the disappointment is evident on Jack Jordan's face. That was just by virtue of a little bit of a troublesome second pocket, but like you said, the technician Koen Martens got up there, got the job done, and that's put him in very good stead, currently sitting in 3rd place in the overall standings after a 2nd place run in Springboard.
Yeah, and it was great to see Koen. He actually, his first pocket was very similar to Jack's top. It wasn't quite as deep as he probably would have liked, but he went on it anyways, and because it was a little bit sagging, that made it difficult for him to put his top board in, which took a few extra hits, but he took the time, made sure it was a good one, and because he had that good platform up on top of that tree, he was able to power himself forward and currently sitting in 2nd place, as long as the judge says both cuts are good.
Okay, both cuts are good.
He took his time on that one.
The 2 axes in the air tell you that Koen Martens is very happy with his time at 58.81. Jack Jordan left the stage pretty quickly there. I think the huge disappointment from the young man there. He needed a really good run in this discipline to shake it up, and he didn't get it. He didn't get it. It was all about that second board, wasn't it?
Absolutely. As we see, you can see a lot of uphill slope, and now he's had to take a few extra hits to get that chip out, but that's what made all the difference. And that one decision that he made right there to
that
not
Jack
rush it.
didn't make.
Exactly, you know, and that might be the difference that sent Koen Martens through to the hot saw and having a chance at a world title. As we see Jack getting up here, and right away that board just not having the angle that he wants, because on the tip of that board is a shoe. It's a little metal clip with a lip on it. And if you don't get that board into the right angle, it's actually going to try and split that tree that the board is in. Not only dangerous, but it makes it extremely difficult, as you see our...
The second dancing performance today. Who would have known it, that the Timber Sportsmen are also, they've also busted some serious moves here. I'm impressed. Okay, poor show from Jack Jordan. He'll be very disappointed with that. But Koen Martens will be very, very happy.
Yeah, Jack Jordan currently sitting in 4th place in the overall ranking, so I wouldn't call him a bubble athlete just yet, but we do still have Michael Dubitsky, Jamie Head, Danny Martin, and Jason Lenz all still to come on stage. So if all of those guys get good times, that is going to bode not too well for Jack Jordan here. Let's see how things go.
So 2 heats to go here in the Springboard. That'll be Heat Ski versus Head, and then Heat 4 we'll see Lentz go up against Danny Martin. As you rightly said there, Troy. As you rightly it's not Last Chance Saloon, but it's getting pretty close, isn't it?
Yeah, it's getting pretty close. And I mean, you know, if you're in the 4th or the 3rd position, even heats to go, it can cause problems if you know that the guys that are coming after you are very good in this particular discipline. But involved in the conversation, you'll see down on the bottom of the screen there hashtags for our STIHL Timbersports, and hopefully they'll put up my favorite one, hashtag Kiss My Axe. Understand what I'm saying here, and get involved in the conversation, get your pictures out there, and just enjoy online as well.
Absolutely right. As you rightly said, we love hearing your feedback and your ideas and those kinds of things, and we love hearing this crowd as well.
Yes.
Danny Martin is still there. He's still with us, isn't he? And he wasn't really in the conversation today, so it really feels like that energy that he's getting from the crowd is giving him that push.
Absolutely. You know, he is right on that bubble, but he's had a very strong showing at the points across the board here. He's been right there all day.
Exactly.
And
consistency, right?
Absolutely. And typically over, you know, timber sports, whoever comes home with the victory is the one that makes the least amount of mistakes. And, you know, Danny Martin might just be that guy this year. Who knows?
Who knows? Look at the flags being waved here in the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart. Beautiful, multi-colourful scenes here. It's an absolutely fantastic atmosphere, and our 2 local hosts, Florty and Sandy, have done a great job. The smiles all round. That's what timber sports is all about. It's a fantastic, inclusive sport. Anyone can watch it. If you're new to it, you've got to come and check out an event. It is pure fun from start to finish. Apparently, I don't know if that's...
As we see that sign there with the pictures of Dirk Braun, Martin Komarek, and Jason Wynyard, who have all unfortunately left us in the past few years. And although they are gone, they are not forgotten by this crowd, the athletes. They're felt everywhere in this sport still.
Exactly right. Beautifully put. Thank you, Sterling. We saw some and heard some very sweet commemorations of the legend of the sport, Jason Wynyard. And some people are even getting rewarded for their...
The swag is about. Although we did see Koen Martens make his own swag earlier on the single buck and managed to take that cookie with him. So he doesn't need the boys to give him any free stuff.
So while we watch the local boys entertain the crowd here, while there's a short change on stage because they've got to get the new logs on, Sterling, what do you think you might expect from Dubicki and Head in the next heat? Are they classic experts in this particular discipline?
Now, you know, as we've seen Michael Dubicki's axe skills, he is more of a power guy, not necessarily a technician.
Right.
Whereas Jamie Head is very technically sound. He's been doing springboard his entire life in Australia, so I expect to see a good time out of him. But I've expected a few more good times, and there's been some inconsistencies and some mistakes have been made, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, we will. So this is heat number 3 of the Springboard. We're going to see the Pole, Michael Dubitsky, go up against the Australian Jamie Head. Personal best of 40.59 for Jamie Head. That would take him to the top of the leaderboard if we saw anything like that. Michael Dubitsky, were he to get a time of 49.70 or sub, that would also take him to the top of the leaderboard with just one discipline to go, the Hutzel.
I believe this is also one of the closest competitions we've had to this point in the action.
You can't call it now. You can't call it yet.
No, you can't call it now, because if we're looking at the overall scores, Emil Hansen 45 points, Jamie Head 43 points, Koen Martens 42 points, Jack Jordan 42 points, and Jason Lenz 39 points. And those points are obviously going to go up for a couple of these guys here because of a few of them not having done the springboard discipline. But it is really one of the closest competitions that we've had in the last few years.
Absolutely, but I think we could see this being closer than anybody else might think.
Andy, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Jamie Head getting into it right away, and that's 4 hits immediately for Jamie Head. Mika Dubitsky taking a few more there. I think he had an 8-hit pocket there, Sterling. Tell me if I'm wrong.
He may have. I wasn't actually. I was looking at Jim because Jim's putting in a cut right now, a few extras to make sure of it because Jamie's actually in the driver's seat right now, and he knows he just needs a solid cut to move through into that hot saw, whereas Michael Dubicki needs to get up there and he needs to make up some points if he's going to want to make it through to that hot saw. He's got that deep pocket. And I think you're about to see an axe machine go to work. And I don't know if he's going to be able to catch Jim because Jim's just about got a few more hits and he's going to be onto that backside.
You don't want to count out Mika Dubitsky, though. He's got so much power and he's got a good board up top there. Jim Head struggling a little bit with the breathing, though, after a full day of action. And he just needs to get that block off and get a time lock down. 52-14 for Jamie Head. And Mika Dubitsky, he's moving over to the other side, rounding out to the minute mark here. So he's going to have a time, but he's got to get through that block fairly quickly if he wants to be on that scoreboard halfway decently with a 107.33. So that is the 5th fastest time of the day, just a hair, or well, not a hair, just a bit ahead of Jack Jordan there in 5th place. So he's going to be happy with that nevertheless, and he celebrates 2.5 meters above the ground.
Jamie Head's time of 52.14, currently the 2nd fastest run here in the Springboard. He's been very consistent today, Jamie, hasn't he?
Absolutely he has, and as we were saying before, that is the keys. If you want to come home with a world title, it's not necessarily who competes the best on the day, but it's who makes the least amount of mistakes, and Jamie Head has just been very, very consistent all day as we wait for the final say from the judge here on the Springboard chop.
All right, both cuts are good.
Mika Dubitsky put his hand in the air even before the result was given. He was confident about that. Jamie Head currently leading the Springboard leaderboard and the overall.
Actually, Jamie Head sitting in 2nd. Emil Hansen actually still sitting at the top of that leaderboard, which is very impressive to see. But, you know, Jamie Head didn't quite have the best block that he was hoping for there, but he cut it beautifully. So we see a few extra hits that Michael Dubicki had to put in there, and that's what cost him valuable time getting up there. And, you know, that's really unfortunate. It's extremely difficult to come back from that after you've wasted a few hits on that top board. As we see the determination. One of the most difficult things for athletes like Jamie Head is actually just getting out of their own country. The amount of axemen that come out of Australia that could come here and win a world title is a lot higher than most countries, you know. So it's an accomplishment for him even to just be here. So
it's a very good point.
I don't expect him to see him waste this opportunity. He's trying to get through to that hot saw, and Jamie Head, one of the best hot saw operators in the world. So no doubt, as soon as he drove that block off, he was out back making sure that his saw was primed and ready to go before our last heat here in the
You
Springboard.
talked earlier about the Australian dynasty, right? Certainly in the team event, they've won the last 4 Team World Championships, and the last still reigning for the next few minutes world champion is, of course, Brad Delosa. We're seeing another Australian here at the top of his game, Jamie Head.
I also wanted to mention Danny Martin and Jason Lentz still to come out for their Springboard heat, but if we look at the overall standings right now, Jack Jordan has just slipped down a notch into 5th place. Jason Lentz is above him in the overall standings, and Danny Martin is below him. So if either one of these two guys pull off a good time, that is going to push Jack Jordan into 7th or 8th spot, which means he is really very much a bubble athlete at this point and may be eliminated here in the Springboard. Danny Martin relishing these moments.
Even if you didn't look at the caption, it must be clear to you who is coming on stage. It's Danny Martin going up in Heat 4 of the Springboard against Jason Lentz.
I spoke with Danny about this discipline a while ago, and he told me matter-of-factly that in practice he has cut under a minute, but his official personal best for Springboard is 104.87. So the adrenaline, the audience on his side here should push him to a fairly fast time. We're all crossing our fingers for him. Jason Lenz has a personal best of well under a minute with 49.65. So he's going to also help that adrenaline pump for Danny Martin a little bit in this discipline, as well as they make some last-minute preparations and adjustments on stage to just get everything lined up and set exactly the way the athletes like it.
What's the judge hammering in there?
So that's actually just a support that once they're up there, like that's a lot of man, 9 feet in the air up on a board. So we want to make sure that tree stays firmly planted on that deck.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, here we go. The audience, we know who they're going to be rooting for, but there are plenty of fans from other countries. And that was a very quick board by Jason Lenz as he is struggling to get that axe out. All the power in the world, and doesn't help if he can't get the axe back out of position. Now both boys are on their first boards and getting their pocket set for the second boards. Jason Lenz placing his second board, looks like a good angle. He'll get that tooth on the shoe in place, and again struggling to get that axe out of the block. Danny Martin set his axe up top, putting his second board in. Let's see how well he does to get up here as we just passed the 34-second mark. Jason Lenz working hard with a pretty sticky block there. He's got all the power he needs to get through there. You can hear the audience in the background supporting Danny Martin, who's doing a great job on top of his block. A little bit of a slip of the axe there. Jason Lenz moving to the backside, and he's done it in 52-42. Danny Martin squeezing in on the minute mark now here. He's deep on the first side. He'll switch over to the backside now. He's not going to get his personal best time, but he will have a time locked in here. Is it going to be good enough to get him into the hot saw? Let's see. He drops it in 107.86, so just as well off his personal best time. And at the moment, Jamie Head holding on to the top spot in the overall. Jason Lenz has moved up into second, Emil Hansen in third, and Danny Martin's in fourth right there, so he's safe.
And those were the solid cuts that both of those guys were looking for to try and make it through to that hot saw event. Because once we go into that hot saw, it's now worth triple points. So as long as both of these cuts were good, as soon as that judgment has taken place, we're going to have our top 6 athletes, and then we're going to have some fun.
And as you well know, the hot saw can really make you or break you.
All right, both cuts are good.
Both cuts are good. Big crowd, big cheer from the crowd here. Danny Martin is through. He has his place in the hot saw, currently in 4th place. And Jason Lenz will be joining him as well. Another good time from him, the 3rd best of today. Here we see the confirmation. 2 personal bests, although Jordan's will not please him that much. It's the first time he's competed here, but those 2 points will sadly not be enough for him. Hansen, Head and Lenz take 16, 14 and 12 points respectively, which means that the overall standings currently are Head in 1st place, a 6-point lead over Lenz in 2nd place, who also has a 6-point lead over Hansen in 3rd place. Danny Martin currently in 41 points, but as you said, Sterling, with those 3 times points available, anything could happen in the last round, the hot saw.
Absolutely. There's been quite a few upsets so far in that springboard as we see the replay here. Now, Danny Martin actually made a few miscues on his putt. That's a lot more wood than I think he would have liked to have opened up here. And, you know, when you open up that much wood, it means you're going to have to take a few extra hits to get all the way to the back. Because what they're trying to do is get that pocket to a perfect V. And what that does is allow that clip to go in there nice and solid, as we see just an absolute textbook pocket by Jason Lenz. And that gives him a nice solid base to get up there. But quite a tough, stringy block. Not the best block Jason's drawn on the day, but that raw horsepower he's got powered him through and got him some very, very valuable still overall points. And that's going to give him a shot at a world title.
Quick little look over to Danny's block as he shifted over to the other side. I don't think he was worried, but I think you know, he wanted to see where Danny was at in his cut as well.
Absolutely, and that's just something as competitors we naturally do. Once you're up there and cutting, it doesn't matter if you're in Stuttgart or he's back home on the farm in West Virginia. You approach it, you attack it in the exact same way.
Yeah.
So we are getting down to the nitty-gritty here. We're losing athletes, unfortunately, but we are left with quality. Jamie Head currently leading the leaderboard. Bit of a surprise, I'd say.
I wouldn't call it a surprise. I mean, with all the other talent that's out there, yeah, for sure. I lost my quarter into the fountain because Jack Jordan is being eliminated from the top 6 that are moving on. So that's a tough one for him. But I think for Jack Jordan, it all came down to that springboard, didn't it?
You know, there was a bunch of ultimately that was the knife in the coffin there. But I don't think he cut to his potential today. But it's been a tough day for everybody. We've seen a lot more miscues than we typically have seen in the finals, but it's turning into a really gritty final, and that's what you really love to see in a competition of this magnitude. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, what we can do is put the 2 fastest heats alongside each other and check out the technique. Here we go. So we've got Head on the right, the Australian going up against Hansson here on the left in blue and yellow.
Yeah, and pretty much dead even up onto that second board. And I can't say enough about this young guy, Emil Hansson. Just cutting lights out, you know, and to have that presence on this world stage as you see him get up at the same time, into the block at the exact same time. And Emil Hansson just outcut one of the best cutters in the world in Jamie Head.
Yeah,
a Team Australia member up on the board. That's astounding.
Always impressive. The only thing for Emil Hansson has been his nerves. And it's like you say for a couple of guys when they get out there on that stage. It's the nerves that sometimes can be the real problem.
Absolutely, but looks like he had the presence of mind.
All right, we are very much at the business end of the competition here. We're going to go to the final discipline. This is the hot saw. Blink and you will miss it. Here we go.
This is the one and only discipline where the athletes are alone on stage.
Yeah, probably the most important event, but also the most frustrating.
These saws are so incredibly powerful and dangerous.
Usually the hot saw is the decider.
Hot saw, hot saw.
Like I can't describe to you when we're out there under pressure.
Saw starts well, first disc looks solid, cut is good.
You know, you're always ending the competition on a hot saw, so you know where you're going to be at when you finish. So you're either at a real big high or just is what it is.
Nice clean cuts, easy, relaxed.
Der Hot Saw ist für mich die geilste Disziplin der Welt.
5, 6, 8, Robert Abner, 3 on the deck.
Hot saw is a love-hate for me. I honestly don't get that much enjoyment out of it. I'm not a motorhead. I swallow my pills and eat it.
Once the competition comes, anything can happen. Oh no, a false start by Sterling Hart. What a disaster.
Yeah, it was a disappointment for me. Happens though.
I saw there's 3 good discs there, but then let that nose come right up underneath the crossover line.
Unfortunately, a disqualification.
It all relies on the hot saw.
Oh no.
Irgendwie soll es einfach nicht sein. Und dann springt die Hot Saw nicht an, wieder mal.
Oh, man. Robert Ebner. What are you taking away from this event?
Oh, probably last place. I don't know, headache. Hot Saw. What else do you want?
If you have bad luck or if you did
What an absolute disaster. The chain came off.
I was not disappointed because everybody see that I can be with the guys. It's a bit of a disaster, so it was just operator error, and I didn't perform as well as I would have liked to.
Nice safe cut.
Oh no! Oh no! Never prepared for that situation, but luckily it started and I got 3 wheels and now I'm the world champion.
Yeah, it's the make or break event, you know.
I think you love it and you hate it.
Das ist eigentlich immer ein geiles Ding. Ich schneide immer sehr sicher.
Oh,
great start for both of these guys. Look at how quick it's going for Robert Ebner. Oh my God, Robert Ebner, he's got a world record. Holy smokes, folks.
Ich wollte das Ding heimbringen, ich wollte Weltrekord schneiden und ich danke meiner Familie zu Hause und alle, die mich unterstützt haben.
Just try to make 3 good cuts and no disqualification.
The hot saw is where it's all won, so that's the best event.
Well, if that clip didn't get you ready for the hot saw, then nothing will. This is such a fantastic event. Let's dive right into the final discipline of the day, the hot saw.
These custom handmade race-tuned machines are built for maximum power and precision and to cut the wood as fast as possible in a competition. They are built with a 60 to 80 horsepower single-cylinder 2-stroke engine, often taken from a snowmobile or high-powered motorbike. The hot saw can weigh up to 30 kilograms and its chain rotates at over 250 kilometers an hour. The cost of a competition hot saw used in STIHL Timbersports is upward of 6,000 euros. Hot saw. For the hot saw, power saws are called into action and the athletes have a space of 15 centimeters to cut 3 complete discs off a 46 centimeter thick wooden block. Jumping the start or cutting over the line will result in a disqualification.
So we are ready for the last discipline of the day. That is the hot saw. We are going to see 6 athletes go up, one after the other, starting with Dubitsky, then Martins, then it'll be Martin, then it'll be Hansson. Heat 5 will be Lentz, and Head will go last. We will have a hot seat situation, so the current leader will take his place on the hot seat, and we will see if he will be tumbled from it. So we're going to see Mikhail Dubitsky go up against the hot saw first, and I say against it because it's man against machine, isn't it? It's all about control.
Absolutely it is, and the Polish typically have always been amazing hot saw operators, so we'll see what we get out of Michael Dubicki.
Noisy beasts, these saws, noisy beasts. That's a, sounds like a Wankel engine.
It may have a funny name, but that is an absolute beast of a saw. The Wankel saws actually have what's called a triangle piston, similar to what you'd see in like an RX-7 motor. So it actually has 1 cylinder, but 3 spark plugs, which gives it that extra oomph. But I guarantee you there's some eardrums bleeding in that arena right now.
It's like a rotary motor.
That is a loud saw, but it is a beast being powered by an even bigger beast. Control this saw. It's that man right there, the axe machine, Michael Dubicki, as we get ready for the first heat of our saw.
Like we say, folks, don't blink. You might miss it.
Empty, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh. 6.58 personal best for Mikhail Dubitsky. He's got 3 cookies on the deck by the looks of it. Hopefully he hasn't gone over the line. Looks safe though. Quick check by Andrew Hall to make sure that everything is looking good, and it looks like it is going to be good with a quick nod from Andrew.
I think he likes it. Okay, good start. Very strong time. 6.58. That's a personal best for Dubitsky. And I think you saw the reaction pretty much straight afterwards. He was happy with that.
Yeah, he cut clean and fast, so that is the time that has set the standard for the rest of the guys here today.
Okay, your cut is good.
Yeah, it's confirmed. Even fireworks for that. And the kids behind who have had high fives all day, or low fives in that sense. Very happy indeed. Mind your step there, Michel. Congratulations. That time was on the board. Michel Dubicki with a time of 6.42. It seemed it could have been smoother for me, Sterling.
It could have been a little smoother, you know, but at this stage of the game, 3 on the deck is what he's looking for.
Right.
He had a little bit of a He actually came off the trigger in between cuts. And
yeah, that's what I meant about smoothness. There was a stop-start feel for me.
But a smart move in this case. He knew that even if he won this event, he didn't have enough points to take home an overall title.
Right.
So what he did is he put in a safe, consistent cut, which sticks him up on the podium for the meantime. And, you know, there's some people that maybe should have done that in the past, and that would have fared better for them.
I wonder who you might be referring to. We'll reflect on that maybe later.
Absolutely, but I think Michael Dubicki's going to be very happy with that. 3 on the deck, his day's done, currently sitting in 2nd place.
Very interesting point there, very interesting point referring to strategy, and as you say, he's done all that he can do, and that is put a time on the board. So we'll see 5 more athletes go then. The wonderful team here at STIHL are just making the preparations on the stage. There are, of course, those huge protective, bulletproof shields there left and right, because you know, bits of shrapnel can absolutely fling off these logs, can't they? Here we go.
Yeah, those Lexon shields are super important for these guys.
Oh yeah, this is Koen Martens. So this is the 2nd player in the hot saw. This is Koen Martens, a personal best of 6:66. Michel Dubicki placed himself on the leaderboard, currently in 2nd place with that hot saw time. Come what may, he will be up there. He got his 3 on the board, as Sterling said, so he'll be in the game certainly. What do you expect from Koen Martens here, Sterling?
Koen Martens, an extremely efficient hot saw operator, is and it's not just, it takes a lot to come out with a victory in the hot saw. It takes first that saw starting, but a lot more of it actually has to do with the chain on there. It's a special chain that they're using called 404 high tooth chain, which actually is not made any longer. So 1 loop of that chain at this moment sells for $1,000 US.
Jeez.
Absolutely. So anytime you see a chain come off, you will also see a grown man cry. So, but Koen Martens, a very, very efficient hot saw operator, very good at filing his own chains, and at this stage, he doesn't have anything to lose, so I expect to see potentially a sub-6 second cut here.
Good luck, Koen. Here we go. This is Heat 2, Koen Martens.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, a little bit of a step in by Koen Martens there. Oh, and a slow time at the top of that 2nd cut, but he's got 3 on the deck. A couple of angles in there that are looking wacky, but it doesn't look like he cut over the line. And he's again celebrating with the audience here in Stuttgart. Fantastic. I just love this guy. He's so upbeat and positive all the time.
He loves it. Congratulations, mate. There was a couple of sticky moments, but it didn't seem like it bothered him. He enjoyed every second of that.
No, not at all. And you saw the fist pump and the jump there. Me personally, I would have gone with a leg kick, but to each their own, you know.
He sold that one in the springboard.
We've seen a couple of dance moves today as well, Sterling. Would you care to share your favorite dance move?
I think I did. That'll be airing this fall on TSN.
Okay, your cut is good.
Congratulations, Koen Martens. A time of 7:24 puts him currently in 2nd place overall with just 4 athletes to go. He loved every minute of that.
Yeah, you gotta like it when the guys can celebrate those victories, even if it isn't exactly where they want to be.
Absolutely. Now, Koen Martens, we talked to him just before the show, and this 330 DC hot saw made by Dennis Cahoon out of Chico, California. He was telling me on Tuesday last week the decompression switch on his saw actually broke, and it fell off into the cylinder and scored the entire cylinder, ruining the saw. So he had to make some calls to California, get a new engine sent, a new cylinder sent over from the States. It arrived here, he rebuilt it, and just enough time to get some runs in training, and you know what? So I think overall he's pretty happy to get 3 cuts on the deck with that solid investment he's made in that hot saw.
Wow, that's great background information. Very nice indeed. Thank you, Sterling.
Just made it all up.
The thing is, we couldn't tell either way. We just don't know. We are going to see Danny Martin now go up in the hot saw. The time currently to beat is 6:42. Everything to play for here for the local boy, Danny Martin.
He holds a national record of 4.84, did hold the world record for a short time there as well. He's always very, very, very consistent with the hot saw. This is one of his favorite disciplines, and he's very good at it.
So a time of 6:42 would put Danny Martin in first place overall here. Everything to play for is just a blink of the eye.
And as you said, a time of anything under 6:42 would put him in first place here. But a time under 4.62 would give him a world record. And I can't think of any way that Danny Marr would rather end his Timbersport season than setting a world record in front of his home Stuttgart crowd. But that's going to take a little bit of energy from this home crowd.
Ready! Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, this is looking good already. Nice start, bit of slow upcut. And he's got himself a 5.86. That's enough for the top spot. No world record today.
Very quick.
But he is pumped by that run.
Yeah, he has every right to be happy with that. 5.86 for Danny Martin. 3 really smooth cuts. Takes him to the top of the leaderboard as we stand, and he will go in that hot seat. Wowee.
Yeah, an absolutely blinding cut from Danny Marr. Bogged a little bit on his upcut there, maybe a little bit of pressure, but he's going to be extremely happy with that, as that sits him currently in first place and currently sitting in that hot seat, like you said, with only 3 left.
He's in the hot seat. I think there's 6,000 other people who would take that seat for him as well. They're backing him right up. Let's see if he gets the green light from the judge.
All right, your cut is go!
His cut is good. Congratulations, Danny Martin. 5.66, in fact. What a fantastic day he's had. Consistency all the way across the board, and he's enjoyed every moment here. And win, lose or draw, he's just had a terrific day.
Yeah.
What a wonderful scene here.
It's been a step for Danny Martin on this event, I can tell you that much for sure. He's been very consistent throughout all of the events.
All right, as we see the replay here, and so this upcut is, okay, he went a little bit thick, and maybe a bit, you see that sawdust that was sitting on that block there, which means he might have been pushing a little bit hard, and so that the chain wasn't quite clearing the chips as efficiently as you would like. So that's the only reason we didn't see him down any lower, but you know what? 3 on the deck, a beautiful cut, currently sitting in first position. Not much more Danny Marr could ask to end off his day.
No, that's exactly right. And I think the crowd are going to be delighted with what he's achieved. He's going to be delighted as well. If there are a couple of slower cuts here, we could see an incredible scene with a German on the top 3 here. Exciting stuff. So we've got 3 to come. That's going to be Emil Hansson, Jason Lentz, and the current leader, or the leader before this discipline, I should say, Jamie Head. All to play for. 5.66 is the magic number.
Yeah, right now Danny Martin on the top of the leaderboard with 59 points, but that may change. We'll see.
Protective glasses on, very important in this other disciplines. This is the 4th heat of the hot saw. This is the Swede, Emil Hansson. The magic number is 5.66. 5.66, that incredible time just set by Danny Martin is the time to beat. What's going through your mind at this stage if you're just setting up the hot saw, Sterling?
Well, if it's me personally, I'm thinking, man, this is a stupid event. But that's just me personally. Emil Hansson, though, as we said, absolute technician. And
it's a bit of a choppy run on that motor. I'm wondering if that is a sign of it not being warmed up enough.
No, that's a sign of a beast being wait to let out of a cage. These
Gotcha.
Wankel motors, they do sound a bit what we call dirty when they're not actually in the wood. They sound like they're running rough, but the minute that thing gets put under a little bit of load, they absolutely scream. And I've seen Emil Hansen cut a few times in his national championship and in other races, and he is very, very capable of posting a 5.66 time and jumping into that hot seat.
Here we go. This is heat number 4. Emil Hansen.
Small adjustment so you could see that all those moves.
Stand to your timber.
Checking everything. Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go.
You weren't kidding about the way that beast works. And look at that time, 5.89 for Emil Hansen. 3 on the deck. That gives him 60 points. If he gets the thumbs up, that means Emil Hansen will take over the hot seat from Danny Martin. And it looks like we have 3 good cuts there.
We see Danny Martin split screen here, currently on the hot seat. He's going to have to wait and see if this time is confirmed. And if it is, if it's rattled down, currently stands at 5.89, which is the second fastest hot shot time we've seen. But it would give him enough points, currently Emil Hansen, to leap over Danny Martin in first place. Let's see what the results from the judges.
All right. And your cut is good.
Emil Hansen's cut is good, and the time is revised down to 5.77. It's still only the second fastest time today, 5.66 being Danny Martin's fastest time. But those points should stay as is. Would be good enough for first place. We have a new occupier of the hot seat, the Swede, Emil Hansen.
Absolutely, as you said, and we see our first round of musical chairs as Emil Hansen jumps into that hot seat. And you know, again, we saw a very good cut. He stayed on the throttle there. He was going for the win, and he's got to be pretty happy with that cut. A little bit, it could have been smoother going in and out of the cut. As you see in the top, just that
little bit of a shake.
Yeah. And when you're trying to get down closer to 5 seconds or under, everything just has to be lined up exactly perfect. But I think Emil should be extremely happy with his day. He has a very, very bright future in this sport, and I think he opened a lot of people's eyes as to not only what he, but also the rest of the European competitors are now capable of. They've come a long way in these past few years, and he put on an amazing performance.
Well,
today.
indeed. I mean, if my maths are right, with only 2 competitors still to go, Jason Lentz and Jamie Head, he's guaranteed a place on the leaderboard as such. So very exciting times here for Emil Hansen.
Jason Lentz, if he gets second or even third place, he'll move ahead of Emil Hansen here if he gets the second or the third fastest time. So he has really very little pressure, but under the circumstances, he's going to want to try and put the fastest time as he possibly can on the board so that he can prevent Jamie Head from doing any damage to his points. Let's see how well he does here. Time for the win, 7.24.
So 7.24 is the number to look out for. Should he be sub that, he would leap over Danny Martin and Emil Hansen into first place. It looks like that machine's been through some business, doesn't it, Sterling?
Absolutely. That Gingras motor out of the States, and I believe he'll be running one of his 404 high-tooth chains filed by his father, Timbersports legend Mel Lentz. So, you know, Jason's going to go for it. One of the best hot saw operators in the world. So expect to see some fireworks here.
30 seconds.
See them making their final preparations. Every athlete has a checklist that they go through, making the saws exactly where they want it to be, making sure their oiler's turned on. Decompression switch is one I would check as well.
This is heat number 5 of the hot saw. This is Jason Lentz.
Anthony, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3,
Emil Hansen
2,
covering
1,
his ears.
go.
Bit of a chunky start for Jason Lentz, but he's got good cuts and 3 on the deck.
Oh, it's lightning
5:53.
fast.
That is very, very fast. Jason Lentz with the fastest time so far, unofficially moves him to the top of the leaderboard.
Did I just see a yellow flag come out of the pocket?
Oh, we
I
did.
did.
Let's see what we have going on here. This could bode very well for Emil Hansen. They're checking to see if there's a cut line by the looks of it.
The flag has been thrown, the looks have been had. There's a little discussion here between Jason Lentz and the referee, Dr. Kutzenberger. We're going to get the result. This could be enormously important. Emil Hansen waiting on the hot seat for the decision.
I think he'll be safe, quite honestly, but we'll see.
Okay, we have a DQ, cut the line.
Oh, that is unfortunate for Jason
Wow.
Lentz. DQ for a cut line, so that leaves Emil Hansen safe on the hot seat, and that leaves it up to Jamie Head, our last competitor, to come out on stage. And basically, all Jamie Head has to do is cut better than a 7.24, and he's got it in the bag.
Danny Martin and Emil Hansen guaranteed silver and bronze at least here.
Oh,
wow,
right there.
There
Just
it
a bit
is.
thick on that far side. You see, not quite squared up to the log. Coming in a little bit too hungry. Yeah, he's not going to be happy with that at all, but he was going for it. You know, you can bet that he was going for a world record or at least a win, and sometimes when you come in that aggressive, things like this can happen. But also, the braveness of Jorg, our referee there, should not be understated for telling Jason Lentz that he was DQ'd.
The rules are going to be followed here at Timber Sports. But,
Absolutely.
I know exactly what you're saying. Absolute desperation for Jason Lentz. That mistake right there has cost him, potentially the World Championship, and he knew it immediately, didn't he? You saw that in his face. Right, so we've got one more heat to go. Who will take silver? Who will take bronze? Who will take gold? It'll be Hansen Martin or maybe this man, Jamie Head. So this is the 6th and final heat of the hot saw. This is the Australian Jamie Head, Danny Martin and Emil Hansen. Guaranteed silver and bronze at least. It all depends on what Head comes up with here.
And just looking at the leaderboard here, all Jamie really needs to do is put 3 on the deck, but sometimes that can be a lot more daunting than one would think. There's a lot of things that can happen. That saw's got to start first of all, and sometimes your inner competitor comes out as well. But,
so you're recommending a conservative approach to this, are you?
No way, man. Give her.
Last minute consultation with the referee Andy Hall here. We've had one DQ already in Heat 5. We wouldn't want another one in Heat 6. So making sure that all of the rules are followed here. So again, if he puts 3 on the floor, so in other words, 3 clean cuts and doesn't cross over the line, stands a good chance here of a good place on the podium.
I'd be curious to be a fly on the wall in this conversation right now to know what's being said by Andy Hall out there.
I think they're just making lunch plans for tomorrow, but I can't quite read.
I think they're deciding who's going to pay for the Uber later. Back to the hotel. Joking aside, this could be decisive. This is the 6th heat. We're being told what the problem is. Okay, we're hearing that Jason Lentz has put in an appeal against the decision of the disqualification. So we're going to have to check, or the referees are going to have to check, based on the appeal from Jason Lentz after the disqualification in Heat 5.
So what's the potential here?
This is an appeal of Jason Lentz. Under the judging team, we're discussing this appeal, and then we come back with a decision.
Okay, so the appeal from Jason Lenz because of the decision on his cut line. So what's the possibility that or something that could happen here, Sterling? Is it maybe if the decision is made, is he allowed to do a recut? And would that make sense?
I don't know.
This is new territory here, Timber Sports fans. We've never had this before. So you can see the referees consulting with the Director of Sport, Spike.
With our two global sport directors there, Spike Milton.
Nathan.
And I see Nate there as well. Okay, all of the shakers and players here and the decision makers in STIHL Timber Sports are involved in this process. We're going to have to wait and see. Okay, should there be a decision by the referees here, what could it look like? What could the options be? Troy mentioned possibly a recut, or are the cookies still available? Can we go back and look at them again? How does that work?
Well, it also depends exactly what the appeal is based on. If he's appealing the cut line, and I don't have the rule book right in front of me, and I also don't read good, so. But the judges could go back and look at the replay, or maybe the block wasn't squared from the start. I don't actually know. We're going to have to wait for a final word here, but we are in unprecedented territory.
Yeah.
A little bit of drama during a Timber Sports series
Fascinating
is nothing new.
stuff here at the World Championships in the Porsche Arena.
We started our day off with some drama. Why not finish the day off with some drama, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's exactly
it's
what
just
it
to keep
feels
things
like.
interesting here for our audience in Stuttgart and around the world, watching everywhere. So we'll get the update from our judges once they come back up on stage here, and we'll hopefully have a clear and concise decision for you as to what is in fact happening. And unfortunately, the problem here for Jamie Head is that adrenaline is ramped up in him, and right now he's probably shaking in his boots trying to just wait for this adrenaline to get shot out through that saw into the block.
Well,
just checking the machine there. Does he not want it to cool down too fast, or what's the
Well,
thought there?
absolutely. So these competitors all go out and are allowed a specific time to go and warm their saws up before they go out on stage. So the question also becomes, is it a disadvantage to Jim while we're waiting for this appeal, because his saw now cools down?
All right, we discussed the case within our judges committee. The appeal was because there was a noise in between the starter's cadence, but the judges committee decided that the appeal is not allowed and the DQ stands.
Right, fascinating scenes here in the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart. The complaint, the appeal by Jason Lenz was that some noise had affected his preparation in the warm-up, but that appeal has been denied by the judges, so the decision of the disqualification will stand. The time from Lenz will not go on the board, and we will see the 6th and final heat here from Jamie Head. Wow, scenes here in the Porsche Arena.
Warm up your saw.
All right, last wrap of the starter here, and we are up to our final competitor.
30 seconds.
You can see Emil Hans on there, screen and screen.
Athlete, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Whoa, he ran into the block on his way up. I hope that doesn't affect it at all, but he's got 1, 2, and 3 cookies on the deck with an 8.57 time. Ooh, interesting here.
He hit the wood on the way up with the bar. Is that an issue, Sterling?
I bet that clenched old Jim up a little bit when it happened, I'll tell you that. How'd that feel, buddy?
Hands aloft here from Jim Head. He seems happy with it. If we get the final decision from the referees here, it would mean that he would leap over Emil Hansson into first place. Just waiting for the decision here.
And if this is a thumbs up, what a way to end his first ever individual competition appearance.
All right, your cut is good.
The cut is confirmed good, and with it, the new world champion for timber sports, Jamie Head from Australia. Congratulations, mate. Fantastic scenes here after the drama of the hot saw. Wowee.
Braden Meyer runs down, gives him a big old hug. Awesome.
He went for the safe option, didn't he? He went for the clever option. He got 3 on the board. He didn't want to make a mistake. There was that kind of dodgy moment there where he brushed the wood on the way up. But what a performance today from Head. I mean, from start to finish, he's been there or thereabouts from day one, right?
It's not just the performance he put in today. Jamie Head has been a part of this STIHL Timbersports series since the early 2000s. And he has been trying to make it to this stage his entire career.
And what a way for it to go today in his first ever appearance in an international individual world championship battle.
Incredible.
And he has done it. He is your new individual world champion for STIHL Timbersports. I bet you he's going to be ultra emotional.
Beautiful
Look at this.
scenes there. Already a hug from Emil
Congratulations from
Hansson.
everybody.
Exactly. Danny Martin hug as well. Danny Martin, what a day he's had.
Yes.
That'll be third place for him. The local boy from Germany. I'm not sure he was thinking that he'd be on the podium when the day began, but he was steady and strong all the way along. Used the audience, used the crowd to his advantage. And Emil Hansson as well. So there's the confirmation that Danny Martin had the fastest time in the hot saw. Hansson the second with 5:20, 5:77. Dubitsky's was a personal best, and then of course there was that incredible drama with Jason Lentz.
And this will be Danny Martin's first ever podium in an international individual competition.
Remarkable scenes here, absolutely fascinating. The DQ from Lentz was confirmed, which meant that he only took 0 points into the final results. That was only good enough for fourth place, unfortunately. That means that your new STIHL Timbersports individual world champion is Jamie Head from Australia. The silver will go to Emil Hansson, and Danny Martin, the German, will take bronze.
Interesting to note, actually, the 3 guys on the podium here today are all first-timers on the podium.
Extraordinary stuff. Sterling, talk us through this one final time, please, mate.
Jim really tried to make life difficult on himself there. You saw the saw actually kick over just to the side, and the bar caught the log on the way up. Right there, you see that, and I guarantee you that made his heart drop a little bit, but regained his composure, knew he just needed to make his 3 cuts, and Jamie's such a seasoned competitor. He did that. Oh, yeah.
And he got real close to the line on that 3rd cut, too. Let's get a closer look at this here.
Absolutely, but you know what? 3 on the deck. I can feel the relief as he backs away from that log.
Look at the smile on Danny Martin's face as well, though. He's absolutely delighted. The local crowd have loved this as well. They've been supporting him from the very beginning. Yeah, 3 that I think it's fair to say at the beginning of the day wouldn't maybe have had on that list. Jamie Head will be crowned the new world champion. Silver medal will go to Emil Hansson. And Danny Martin, the crowd favorite, he'll take bronze. Wow.
3 first-timers on the podium, and what a day for Jamie Head. His first ever appearance at an individual world championship, and he takes the title. Big congratulations to him and obviously Team Australia. I mean, dominant performances this weekend. Fantastic.
Well, exactly. We saw the team from Australia win yesterday, as Troy mentions. We've now seen the individual be taken by an Australian as well. The last reigning world champion was also Australian. What has the rest of the world got to do to try and break this?
I don't know. Maybe stop having flights come overseas, I think, at this point. Like, we're running pretty thin here.
Snatch those visas, right?
Absolutely.
No, joking aside, great stuff that we've seen today, wasn't it?
It was just amazing. It was amazing competition. Like we said, the grit and determination by those guys to make it through at the end, DQs and everything. So
thank you very much, Sterling. We'll go back to the arena to Florty for the final ceremony.
It is a great pleasure to welcome you all to the winner's ceremony of the STIHL Timbersports Individual World Championship 2023. Porsche Arena, are you ready to make
Bosch Arena, wo seid ihr? Die Athleten sind schon da und wir freuen uns jetzt auf die Winner Ceremony, auf die Siegerehrung. Und die Bronzemedaille wird jetzt übergeben von der Repräsentantin von unserem Sponsor von Ford, Patricia Zaba von Ford Marketing. Welcome. She is giving the bronze medal now to...
The bronze medal goes to Danny Martin, Germany, Bronzemedaillengewinner bei den STIHL Timbersports Individual World Championships 2023. The man from Germany, Danny Martin.
So, und jetzt hat Patricia Zaba von Ford die große Ehre, den Deutschen zu ehren. Die Bronzemedaille geht an Deutschland. Ein ganz besonderer Moment, den genießen wir jetzt gemeinsam mit Danny Martin.
Unforgettable moments here in Porsche Arena. He ended up 4th last year and this year he made it to the podium. Letztes Jahr noch 4. Platz. Diesmal holt er Bronze. Nochmal ein Riesenapplaus für Danny Martin. Time to meet the silver medalists. The youngest competitor, coming last in the first discipline with an unbelievable finish. Let's give it up for the man from Sweden. Let's give it up for Emil Hansson.
Wow!
Was hat der für ein Finish hingelegt? Nach der Enttäuschung in der ersten Disziplin. Und jetzt eine Silbermedaille bei den STIHL Timbersports Individual World Championships 2023.
And the silver medal is given by Michael Messer, Managing Director Production von Liebherr Hydraulikbagger GmbH. Vielen Dank für die Übernahme. Er hat jetzt den schönen Moment vor sich, die Silbermedaille an den jüngsten Teilnehmer zu übergeben.
What a sensational performance. Da hängt sie, die Silbermedaille. One more time, give it up for the silver medalist. Make some noise for Emil Hansson.
22 years old, 22 Jahre alt und die Silbermedaille. Vize-Weltmeister. So, jetzt kommen wir zum großen Moment.
Porsche Arena, are you ready to meet the STIHL Timbersports Individual World Champion? Die Goldmedaille geht an the man representing Australia. Give it up for Jamie Jim Hay! Just look at the face of the man claiming gold here in Stuttgart in Porsche Arena.
The gold medal is given by Karin Teber, Vice Chairman of the STIHL Advisory Board and member of the Supervisory Board. Sie ist die stellvertretende Vorsitzende im STIHL-Beirat und Mitglied im STIHL-Aufsichtsrat. Karin Teber mit der Goldmedaille für den Weltmeister.
Und jetzt hängt sie um seinen Hals, die Goldmedaille. One more time, make some noise for the STIHL Timbersports Individual World Champion, Jamie Jim Hay.
Wir haben aber noch eine Trophy, there is a trophy coming up. Eine ganz besondere Trophäe, designt und gebaut von Robert Pieringer aus Österreich. Da sehen wir sie, was für ein Prachtstück. Und wir freuen uns jetzt, dass diese Trophäe übergeben wird von Michael Traub, dem Vorstandsvorsitzenden von STIHL. The trophy is given by Michael Traub, Chairman of the Executive Board of STIHL. Wow!
What a picture! We're getting to see unbelievable scenes, unforgettable moments. As we would like to ask everybody in the arena to stand up and to stand and rise if they can for the national anthem of the winner. Meine sehr geehrten Damen und Herren, wir dürfen Sie bitten, sich zu erheben, denn es folgt in wenigen Momenten die Nationalhymne des Weltmeisters. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dear STIHL Timbersports fans, the national anthem of Australia.
Sie haben es mal wieder gezeigt. Die Deutschen mit der Bronzemedaille und der jüngste Teilnehmer mit Silber. Wow, das ist ein Finale wie aus dem Bilderbuch. Phänomenal.
And of course, we'd like to invite all the other athletes to enter the stage. Gerne nochmal einen Riesenapplaus für alle 12 Teilnehmer, die heute hier unfassbar abgeliefert haben. Sandy, hast du etwas Vergleichbares schon gesehen? Ich nicht.
Nein. Ich hab's gesagt, ich war vor 10 Jahren das letzte Mal mit dabei und es ist 10-mal krasser. Porsche Arena, ihr seid so geil. Was für ein Wettbewerb. Ein großer Applaus auch für alle Athleten des Tages. Und jetzt freuen wir uns auf das Siegerinterview Floti beim amtierenden Weltmeister, beim neuen Weltmeister.
Jamie, you can't get out of this one. The whole world was watching Porsche Arena tonight. It was an unbelievably close competition. And you're standing here on top, holding this wonderful trophy. Anything you want to say to the crowd here in Stuttgart? Anything you want to say to everybody back home?
Yeah, first of all, this is the best arena we've ever been to. I'd like to say thank you to the whole crowd, the Australian fans and the fans here, for everyone. It's what makes it worthwhile for all of us. That's why we travel so far to be here. And I'd just like to thank my team, STIHL Australia, for everything they do for me. And, you know, I can't even believe that I'm standing up here.
Da kriege ich Gänsehaut. Er sagt, er hat noch nie in so einer geilen Arena STIHL Timbersports ausgeführt. Er bedankt sich vielmals beim Publikum, bei seinem Team. Und er hat gesagt, er hat bis zum Schluss nicht geglaubt, dass er am Ende hier oben stehen wird. Es ist ein Gänsehautmoment für ihn, es ist ein Gänsehautmoment für uns. Jamie, what are you going to do tonight?
Not much, mate. I'll probably go to bed. Won't have any beers or anything like that. That's not what Aussies do, eh? No, I'm pretty sure the boys have got a pretty big party in store, so we'll see how it goes.
Also er wird noch ein bisschen feiern mit seinen Jungs. Er sagt nochmal ein riesen Dankeschön. You can say thank you to the crowd because these are going to be the last words before we hand back to the studio. So this is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much to the crowd. Thank you to all the viewers at home. Can't do it without you guys. Big thank you to STIHL, most of all. Thank you very much.
Absolutely fantastic scenes
Loved
here in
it.
STIHL Timber Sports.
Loved
And
it.
you know what you always get here at Timber Sports is fantastically transparent, open interviews from the athletes. Congratulations from my side one final time to Jamie. Fantastic. Very quick final word from you, Sterling.
Yeah, you know, that was what a final. You know, it had everything. It had drama, DQs, personal bests. Super happy for Jim. Yeah. Extremely excited for the youth in our sport. Emil Hansen coming up there second. And I was looking at the leaderboard. After a loss, he was last place at the underhand. And he clawed his way all the way back to a silver medal. That's a lot of determination. And Danny Martin taking home a win in the hot saw and a bronze medal. That's a pretty happy podium right there. And I don't think we could ask for much more here in Stuttgart.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sterling. We'll do this again. Final word from you, sir.
Well, all I can say was today was an absolutely fantastic event. Congratulations to all the guys on the podium. Well done.
Thank you ever so much to all of you for watching. We've had a blast. Take care. Word of the day, butt log.